Hey everybody, Stemmage here. For the first 2021 episode of The Gaming Outsider, the guys are discussing gaming in 2020. Once again, they've asked me to join them as we discuss the most important news stories from the past 12 months, our predictions for the coming year, and our personal favorite titles from the past year. We'll wrap things up with the Go's overall top picks of the year, as well as the community. This episode is a legend in the making. Let's fry this bacon. This is The Gaming Outsider.
Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 327 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. Today is January 4th, 2021. I'm your host, Sky Clark, and joining me are my friends, Zack Parkerson.
Game of the year, game of the year.
Are you singing a Christmas song? Christmas is over.
No, it's a game of the year.
I know, but it sounded like Carol of the Bells a little bit.
Perhaps it was.
Okay. Also joining us, Chris Behrensmeyer.
Man, I feel bad. I don't have a song prepared.
That's probably a good thing. I've heard you sing.
Hey, you can shut your mouth.
But you know what? Neither of us, any of us, can sing very well. But we have a very special guest joining us for this episode, as he does every year for our Game of the Year show. It gives me great pleasure to welcome back to the show the guy behind the band Stemmage, the guy behind Metroid Metal, and countless other projects. He did some music for a Bit Trip Runner game. He did a Bubsy game. He is a musician extraordinaire, has become a good buddy of mine, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome back to the show, Mr. Grant Henry. Grant, how you doing?
Game of the year, game of the year, game of the year, game of the year. How's that? Does that work? That's more. That's more
like
New Year, right? Is that good?
Yeah,
We're gonna have to have Nate splice that into a sound bite and add some percussion and stuff behind it to just make it. That'd be.
If you won't do it, I will.
That'd be awesome.
No, I'm so pleased to be back. I've missed you guys. So, good to be on the horn with you once again, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's so good, man. I these guys didn't get to, but I got to see you about 10 months ago. Was it? We were hanging out up in Minneapolis when you were in town. It's not 7-hour drive for me. Up in Minneapolis for the video game. It was video game music. What was it called?
It was VGM Con, wasn't it?
Video game music convention, which got to meet you in person for the first time. I got my Metroid Metal CD signed.
Nice.
That's right.
About 20 years in the making now. It's been sitting in my collection, and I finally got it signed.
Yep, got the pin out. We hung by the pool. It was a good time.
First time I saw Grant, he was shirtless.
That's
and
true.
I hugged him.
I was half naked in Minneapolis.
And it wasn't uncomfortable at all.
No, totally normal. Just a bunch of gamers doing game things by the pool.
We also saw Aaron and Brandon Hood.
That's right.
Who were at R2V2 last year. That was good to see them. That was just a fun time, man. I met so many cool musicians because I was there scouting, trying to find a band to come play like an after party show for R2V2. That's why I was there.
Right.
And I had actually talked to a couple guys and a couple bands, and they were pretty interested. And a couple said that they were just going to do it. And I was like, all right, this is awesome. And then COVID happened. And
then 1 week later, everything fell to the ground. So.
Yeah, you were saying right before we started recording that if that convention had been, 5 days later or something like that,
they would have shut it
wouldn't
down.
have happened.
They would have shut it down. They were already starting to cancel the stuff for the following weekend while we were there. So we skin of our teeth, right? So
pretty much. And I was thinking about it. That's like the last big thing I did, because everything else after that was pretty much stuck inside. And I went to bars here and there once in a while early on before they shut everything down. Or the summer was a different world too. But that was like the last really cool thing I did outside of my home this year, which is kind of crazy to think about how long ago that was. But also, if you guys hear me say it every show, Grant is the guy behind all the bumpers that you hear for The Gaming Outsider, including the intro theme song and outro theme song. All the little sound bites in between there are all written and composed by Grant. I asked him to do that for me as a favor out of the blue, about 6 years ago, and said, hey, I'm doing a podcast. And you're like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. And the rest is history. And then we became friends. I can't tell you how cool that is, Grant, because I was like a legit fan of yours so many years ago. I bought your stickers, and I bought I still have a Metroid Metal t-shirt, like one of the OGs.
Yep, you got the old one. So
yeah, it's got the stripe across the top with the MM. It's got some holes in it. It's not in good shape because I've worn it like crazy. But the fact that like we're kind of working together now is just kind of surreal to me.
Yeah,
That's
it's wild.
awesome.
I mean, I think we would have rendezvoused at R2V2 if it hadn't all come crashing down earlier in the year. But so hope for this year, right? So
absolutely, we're already got things in the works for that.
Got to see the rest of you cats too in person. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch Scott Fanboy out in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you've seen me do it in person. We were at E3 together.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I'll come shirtless for consistency. I'll just show up in a
That's
bathing
smart,
suit. And
You got to be sopping wet though, like you just got out of the hot tub.
just weird. Then I get kicked out, but it was worth it, right? Worth it for the gag. So
Oh, that's great. It'll be in the middle of winter and you'd still like be coming in dripping wet. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, this is our first episode of the year, and we're kicking off the new year by having our annual Game of the Year discussion. So we'll be recapping gaming last year, talk about our most memorable news stories, make some predictions for the coming year, and discuss our personal and combined favorite games of the year. And as we always do, we ask Grant to come do this because he knows the results. We have basically given him all of our top 10 lists, which includes the three of us, and I think Spencer was included in that. And I think we had one other person that submitted one game, and I was like, I'm not going to throw that in there. But so there's basically four of us that submitted lists to Grant, and he basically did a reverse algorithm where the number one gets 10 points, the number two gets 9 points, and then what we'll do is we'll see who ranks number one according to the numbers, and we'll kind of have a discussion to see if that should be our game of the year or if it needs to be changed, and we'll go from there. I'm looking forward to it.
I legitimately don't know what to expect. Like the Control last year, you can see that coming.
Yep.
Yeah,
this year, because there are some games, right, like that Scott and I love that CB didn't like, or that you and CB love, where I was like, yeah, it was okay, like it was good, not great. Like it's an interesting year for that.
Yes.
There's one that I know is going to be near the top on Zach's list that I feel is not going to be on either mine or CB's. That is going to make him angry. It's not going to make the top five.
Oh no! Does it involve flipping?
It's not about flipping. It's just
thwipping, like
thwipping. No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
There's another one. And I smell what you're stepping in.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, I guarantee you, my list is way different than your guys's. So,
which is crazy because you've played 55 games this year,
yeah,
or something like that.
Oh man, I'm jealous. Jealous.
Yes, CB's a wizard. He never sleeps, and when he does, his eyes are open, just in case he misses something. So I don't know where he gets the time to. And it's not like he's playing like Zack and I review some indie games that are small that may take like 3 or 4 hours. CB reviewed Valhalla and Tsushima. Or I don't know. He didn't. You reviewed Tsushima, didn't you, Zach?
I did. Yes.
Well, just to give Grant an idea. I had Valhalla, Cyberpunk, and Immortals. I think there was like one other one all beat before the end of the year, and they all came out like the last week in November.
yeah, that was the last. That was the big close to the year was that pile. So that's impressive.
God, I gotta play Immortals, man. Looks so
I
good.
do too. I played it just a little bit, and I really am upset that I didn't play more because I just haven't had the time.
My copy came in the mail today. I just put it in the PS4 to let it do its whatever update. But after I only heard a little bit about it. I heard about the name change. I paid a little bit of attention when it came out, and then I started reading more about it and talking to people. And I'm like, this is my next game. It has to be. I mean, it was on sale. I got it for $29 on disc for PS4.
That's Ubisoft for you.
Yeah, yes, doing the Ubi thing. So we'll see. I'm gonna hop in here and looking forward to it.
Let me know what you think of it when you're done, because I absolutely adore that game.
That's great. I'm stoked. It feels like my kind of thing. And last year I had not played Control, and heard you guys talking about it. Not only is it my favorite game of maybe the last 3-4 years, but like my wife watched me play the whole thing, which she'll watch me play some games, or we'll do a horror haunted housey kind of game, and that's it. But she watched the whole thing. We read every slip of paper. She proceeded to buy 3 coffee table books covering brutalism. Like, they're incredible. Like new brutalism. Wow. I mean they're incredible. She's all into the architecture stuff, and we started watching Devs, which is a TV show filmed at UC Santa Cruz, and all the buildings are brutalist with the earth taking all the plants taking over and stuff. It's kind of hilarious. So we went way down the Control hole. this past year. It would have been on my game of the year list, but guess what? I'm always behind. So
now you know what we were talking about. Did you finish it?
Control?
Yeah.
We finished it, went back, did some extra stuff, and then put a pause on. I bought the season pass, but we sort of put a pause on it to kind of like leave it alone a while. We're going to go back in and try and do some of the. I was actually going to see if we wanted to go through Alan Wake, if there was an easy way to play Alan Wake, because I hear some of the DLC covers Alan Wake stuff. I think it's on PC, but yeah.
I would recommend playing Alan Wake before you play the DLC of Control.
I wonder about that. I didn't know if it's like Control is one of the best controlling games I've played. It just feels good. I suck at third-person games mostly, so I was pleased. I didn't know if maybe Alan Wake's controls had kind of, if it would age well. Like, is it kind of a hard to go back to kind of thing? But
I love Alan Wake to death. I don't think it controlled remarkably well when it came out.
Yeah.
So it probably does not feel super good today.
But I need to do it.
But at least a recap or something. I would be disappointed if I played the second Control DLC not knowing anything about Alan Wake.
Okay. Noted.
Plus, they do some really cool stuff in that game as well too. There's like an entire like television show. What's it called? Night Springs.
Night Springs. There's a whole like Twilight Zone show inside of Alan Wake.
Inside the game, like you'll come across televisions and the TV will just pop on and you can watch like a mini episode that's like on the television, which is just it was really cool.
Yeah.
The story is really good in that, although it's been a minute since I've played. I don't think I've played it since launch. That was the week that Alan Wake and Super Mario Galaxy 2 and
Mario Galaxy, Red Dead Redemption, Alan Wake all came out on the same day.
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, so I was rushing through games quite a bit, although I didn't play Red Dead that much.
I remember the midnight launch because I was the only person in the entire GameStop who picked up Alan Wake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were like, we have one Alan Wake Collector's Edition over here. I'm like, it's me.
All right, before we move on to our next segment here, I got to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Brandon Smith. We had him on the show in the past. He came and did our Final Fantasy VII spoiler cast. I believe that was him on that episode. But he has been working on a project for quite a while now that he has officially finished, and I promised him that I would share it all with you guys. It is called Final Fantasy Renaissance, and what he's done is he's basically remade the entire game of the original Final Fantasy from the 8-bit console, and he's rebuilt it from the ground up, and I think he's added classes, and he's just reworked the whole thing, and it's now available. You can't purchase it because he can't legally sell it, but it is available for free. All you got to do is download it. It's available on Windows and Mac, and we'll have the links for that in the show notes of this episode. So if you'd like to check that out, let him know. I even asked him today, hey, can we PayPal you some money to like say thank you? And he's like, no, I can't. I'm not taking any chances. So he will not take your money. You can just try it out for free and just give him some feedback. Let him know what you think of it, especially if you are a Final Fantasy fan. So look for both of those links for the PC version and the Mac version are both going to be in the show notes for this episode. Before we get on, though, I do want to ask you guys, we're not really doing a What You've Been Playing segment, but have you been playing anything interesting this week? Grant, you're our guest. What have you been playing?
Well, I picked up, I don't think I told Chris this, but I told you this, but I got a Quest 2. I decided to, instead of going for the big new console, I decided to try something totally different and grabbed the Quest 2, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. It's great. And then we had a discussion about, you were like, have you played Pistol Whip? And I'm like, I haven't played Pistol Whip, but it's on the list. There's too many, like, you get a new console, there's a bunch of games to buy. I spent a little bit of money. And then you sent me Pistol Whip. And I have been loving Pistol Whip. I legit fell down. I legit went to one side to dodge. My head wanted to go the other way because another bullet was coming, and I fell over and I laughed. And that's basically what VR is. So I've been loving that. And then I've been loving Moss, which I also have been spending a lot of time with as well. So
Moss is great.
Yeah.
Back to Pistol Whip for just 1 second. I've been slowly trying to convince CB that he needs a Quest 2 as well, so that he will sell me his Quest 1, because I want to play Pistol Whip, honestly, for the exercise.
Oh, man.
Was I wrong that you needed to stretch
No,
before playing that game?
Absolutely. I picked up one of the little boxing fitness games, and I have Beat Saber. I mentioned that to you, and that stuff's good. That stuff's good, but like really good cardio stuff is when you're doing lower body work, and I feel like Pistol Whip makes me sweat more than anything else.
Seriously.
Not even trying, not even really thinking about how hard you might be breathing. You're just living the John Wick dream. It's pretty awesome. Feels good. So I've been.
And you had no
idea
idea it was music based.
I knew it was super musical, and I knew stuff was pulsing, and it was a game to jam out to. But I didn't realize that it rewarded you for killing enemies in beat with the music. So you sort of approach groups of enemies differently, so it almost becomes like a dance sequence in a way. You see three guys come on, you could go pow pow pow, or you could play with the music, and it makes the whole thing more.
I'm glad you're digging it, man. That is like such an easy recommend. It was on I think it was like my honorable mentions for that year it came out, only because it came out like right at the very end of the year, and I only played it the one time. I didn't feel right putting it in a top 10 when I didn't, beat it or play it for hours and hours. But it probably would have been on there if it came out earlier in the year, and if I had, the equipment to play it. It didn't come on PSVR until later.
Right.
So, anything else?
Let's see. I playing through Kentucky Route Zero right now. I think I'm almost done with it.
What is that game?
It's a game that they started development about 6-7 years ago, I think, and they've slowly just been making chapters of this game, this sort of like weaving, somewhat meandering, but also intriguing Twin Peaks style sort of story of several different characters. It's very minimalist in terms of the art, but it looks really good. And what they did was they released them all in sequence on PC, and then packaged it all up and released it for console, calling it TV Edition, Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition. So the game has been episodic for like 5 years, but they packaged it all up and put it on consoles. So it's on Switch and PS4 and stuff.
Totally worth playing.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's plotting and strange. It's mostly sort of like choose your own adventure tech sequences with some movement and selecting some things. It's very linear, but it's just sort of like, it's more of a storytelling device the way they've built this game. But you'll probably get like, I bet you get 7 hours out of it maybe, and it's routinely on sale for $15-ish. But
okay,
if you like that kind of weird, you're uncertain what's going on, and you kind of need to see it through to find out. Like kind of Twin Peaks is what everyone talks about, but it's actually an appropriate description. It's worth it, worth checking out.
We're proponents of the short linear games here.
Yeah, same man. I love it. I mean, like. That's why I was scared to start something big, because I tend to fall off stuff. And then you go back to it later and you don't even know where you were. That happens to me too often. So I enjoy the more bite-sized stuff.
That's why we have CB here, because he plays those games that take 150 hours, and then Zach and I can focus on the shorter linear experience.
You can pick and choose what you want to go and play based on his review, right? Like
exactly. I just because he what you beat Valhalla in like a week and a half or something. Yeah. Like, it's just like that's you put more hours in that than I put in at work.
And I work a full-time job.
Yeah, which is insane. So you piqued my interest more about Kentucky Route Zero. That's one of those games that I see journalists write about or talk about on podcasts, and I never really understood what it was and what they loved about it so much, because they always were kind of vague on purpose, I get from a narrative perspective, which I appreciate, but I never understood. But I will take your
somewhat minimalist, very art house, right? It all depends on what you're into. Some people would probably say it's pretentious, but it's got a lot of really good humor, and it's just it's neat. I mean,
all right. You
watch a trailer for it, if it looks intriguing, you'd probably dig it. It's not too long.
All right. Zach, what about you? Anything on your list this week?
I finally picked up Raji.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which CB recommended to me some weeks ago. It's great. It's like a top-down isometric Prince of Persia game, which is exactly what I thought it was going to be, and it's exactly what it is. And gosh darn it, that's good news.
It's a good game.
So I'm really enjoying it. I don't have much more to add right now.
All right,
it's a lot of fun.
And CB,
well, I played a little on my Quest this week, since I have a feeling somebody's going to try to steal it from my house soon.
Yeah,
you got to friend me on there, bruh.
I know.
Be Quest buds, buddy.
I actually need to find more friends on there, because I've been thinking about doing some of the events that they do, where like you can watch like movies with people or go to concerts with people through Quest.
That'd be fun.
So I've been looking at that, and I will admit I was looking at a Quest 2 earlier today. So
nice.
But other than that, I haven't played that much this week, mostly because I want to get some stuff in the game room squared away. But I played a lot of eBay this week.
Of course you did. What did you buy on eBay this week?
I may have knocked a few large number 3DO games off my list.
Okay.
One of which may be sealed, but not for long.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't tell me that. Oh.
Yeah. It's the first time this game has showed up on eBay in over a year, and it was a sealed copy, and I was like, the price is right, I'm going to bite, but I'm probably going to open it.
Oh, it just makes me sick to my stomach. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Just wait for another one to pop up. Keep the sealed one.
When? That's the problem. Like, I want to play
year.
it.
Another year.
Games are meant to be played.
I know, you can play it on emulation.
Devalue the secondary market.
Tell you what, you find me a 3DO emulator, we'll talk.
They don't make the 3DO emulator?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nobody makes... Otherwise, like, people would actually rave about games like Lucian's Quest, which was a JRPG on there. So,
okay.
But yeah.
As for me, I took your guys' advice, and I did finish Ghost of Tsushima this week. Just right in the buzzer. These guys tasked me with it, Grant, because they told me the game came out in September?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Is that right?
It was,
was it earlier
August,
than that?
maybe? I think it was August.
It
August?
was late September.
No, wait. When did it last came out? June.
June, yeah.
Then it came out in July.
July. Okay.
It came out 1 month after last one.
Oh, that's right. It did.
So I missed this game because of whatever was going on in summer. And both of these guys were like, Scott, you have to play this game. This is a Scott game 100%. I think the word or phrase that Zack used when we were talking this over text was, it could not be more of a Scott game than it was. And
was I wrong?
You were not wrong. Although, like I said, I had some issues with the changing of garments, and that was really annoying to me. But I finished it. I feel kind of dirty because I could not finish that last third of the game the way that I played the first 2/3 of the game, in that I love to clear the map and get everything and do everything that I can. But I needed to finish the story before we had our Game of the Year discussion to give it a fair shake.
You think you'll go back?
So, what's that?
You think you'll go back and clear out?
I don't know if I can, because I've been playing it on CB's PS5, which I have to give back to him. So I've been kind of on a timer.
You've been playing it the right way. That's the way to look at that game. Jeez. That's smart. That game needs to be viewed on the PS5.
Well, what's funny is I was playing Ghost of Tsushima when we were doing a gaming marathon a few months ago, and 20 minutes into playing, my PS4 just up and died. And, so I had to play it somehow, and we had this PS5, and I said, I'm going to hang on to this for a little bit. So I've been playing it on there, and what a stunningly beautiful game.
I need to know one thing. Did you play it at all in Kurosawa mode?
At the beginning, I did. You say games are meant to be played. Color televisions are meant to be displayed in color. And I couldn't do it for long in black and white. Because I just felt like I was missing on all the vibrancy. I even switched it to English. Because I got tired of having to read every subtitle.
Well, the actors all performed in English, so that's the way the game was meant to be consumed.
I started it in Kurosawa mode with the Japanese subtitles, and I couldn't do it for much longer. So
I did side questing in Kurosawa mode. Looked cool.
I would have dropped. It was on sale for $40 over the holiday, and I would have gotten that if I knew I wasn't getting Phoenix in the mail, because that's two biggies at once. But I've got to play it. Hopefully, it doesn't burn up my PS4 too. But I will play it.
How rotten the name Immortals Phoenix Rising is.
Yeah, what was the original name? I don't remember.
Gods and Monsters.
Yeah.
Awesome name.
Awesome name.
What was it again?
Gods and Monsters?
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I can't say it too many more times or else Monster Energy Drink will sue us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude. It's the best Assassin's Creed game in a long time. Even though it's not really Assassin's... I mean, it's
Assassin's Creed.
It's Assassin's Creed. Just without assassinating?
You can.
But I was so glad there wasn't a penalty for being stealthy at the end of the game. I was kind of expecting it, or there to be like getting the crappy ending or something if I did stealthy stuff. But boy, if you power up enough, you feel unstoppable by the end of that game. Like just nothing can hurt you. Anyway, I had one other game that I played This was recommended to me by Jeff Swan from the podcast Nindy Nation, which I recommend if you are on a Nintendo Switch and looking for independent games to check out. He reviews them every week. And I'm talking game after game after game after game. But he recommended me to play this game called Time Spinner, which I'd never heard of before. But he did a little blurb on Twitter and said, if you like games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, or if you like Metroidvanias, this one you got to check out, especially since it's on sale for $3. And I'm like, $3, it's kind of hard for me to say no. And he was not kidding about the Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I mean, it's not gothic, or I don't even know if that's the right word. It's not, Dracula or vampires or anything like that.
Gothic's right.
Is
Gothic's
it okay?
the right term? Yeah.
It's not like a gothic theme. I would say it's more magic and mysticism, a tiny bit of sci-fi. But man, it plays just like Symphony of the Night. So Zach will hate it. But
that's funny you say it, because I've actually been looking at this game for, I feel like, years now on PlayStation, waiting for a sale. Because, I don't like Symphony of the Night, but I do love Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's $3 on Switch. I gotta go buy that right now.
If it still is. I mean, it was like a week ago I bought it.
If not, you can borrow my copy.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll speak more on it next week when I do a full review and I've had more time into it. But so far, I like it quite a bit. It feels like it feels like an old school Metroidvania. As much as I love some of the current ones, like oh man, what was the one with the dude with the two horns that came out that was massive, made by something Cherry was the developer. The one with the black shadows and ant creatures and ants. Kids are looking at me crazy. All the heroes and villains in that game were like insects of some sort. Hollow Knight. That's what it was. Hollow Knight.
Skeletons would be probably more easily identified, I would think, to people.
Probably. But once you get into some of the later bosses, they're always like bees or beetles or something like that.
I'm still insisting we call that genre gear-gated games.
Gear-gated games makes more sense, and it rolls off the tongue quite well.
Thank you.
Say.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, Time Spinners, I'm enjoying quite a bit, and I can't wait to get back into it. I'm liking it. I'll speak more on it next week. Let's go ahead and jump now into our first topic when it comes to Game of the Year, and we will recap the news from 2020 right now. So we're not going to go through and talk about the news this week. First off, not a whole lot happened this week, and because we're short on time with the big episode, Game of the Year episode, we're going to instead kind of recap the year. A lot's happened in 2020. But what, in your mind, was the most important news story, announcement, or release that happened in the last 12 months? Grant, you are our guest. What do you think was the most important news story of 2020?
Well, I'm going to tilt it slightly because there are some big ones. I just have a feeling you guys might cover some of the big ones. I don't know. I'm gonna say one that was big to me and very surprising, and that was EA buying Codemasters.
Okay.
So Codemasters makes the Dirt games, Dirt Rally, F1 games. They do Grid. They've done other stuff like Onrush. They purchased a studio that did Onrush. It's all racing. They've always been all racing. And Take-Two was supposed to pick them up. And EA swooped in and said, no, we're going to offer $400 million more. And they bought Codemasters. And the reason that's interesting to me is that EA has sort of, the only one that's really doing a lot of arcade racing stuff anymore is EA. Need for Speed stuff. Burnout, that whole thing. So now one of the biggest companies and one of the biggest racing companies has purchased the biggest racing company. And I think it's big because it could be good things for stuff that EA was making anyway. It could potentially be bad for the sim racing genre, which is huge. I have my steering wheel. I love my rally games. I'm a big rally guy. So I just think it is sort of a disruption. And I think Codemasters was one of the last great big indie companies. And I think them getting slurped up like that is actually pretty big news.
It seems like a good fit at EA, really. I mean, they're known for their sports games, and that's a natural progression of that. So
it is interesting they're doubling down on racing.
It is, and big time. I mean, it's all Codemasters does. They've done other stuff in the past, but not really anymore. And they're great at it. They're the best at it. So
didn't Codemasters do the original Micro Machines game?
Yes, they did.
I loved that game when I was a kid.
Codemasters was a big company in the NES era.
Yeah, they did a bunch of different stuff.
Did they not do Who did Time Splitter? Who published Time
That
Splitters?
was Free Radical.
I know there's a developer.
Oh, published it? Oh, I don't know.
For some reason, in my mind, Codemasters associated with Time Splitters, even though it's probably not right at all.
Don't know.
But anyway, that's my weigh in on this.
So I know you
Sorry.
all. I know you all picked the same story, so you're gonna have to figure out
Yeah.
another one.
There's no way we didn't all pick the same story.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if we did. Zach, go ahead. What was yours?
EA buying Bethesda, or Microsoft buying Bethesda.
That was mine as well. Yeah.
That's not mine.
Oh, really?
I don't know how you get much bigger than $7 billion.
I mean, it's close, but I had a feeling one of you guys are going to pick it, so I went with something else.
All right.
Would you?
New
Or do you want
consoles.
to the consoles themselves?
Yeah,
I feel like they kind of landed with a bit of a whimper, but
it's
I'm
still
happy.
big news because we discovered that there's a severe flaw with online buying.
sure. I guess that impacts you quite directly, CB.
Yeah,
The collector that you are.
I mean, let's talk. We'll get into that in a second. Let's talk about the Bethesda acquisition first. So
Oh, it's a total game changer.
it really
Scenery,
is.
the outlook for the next generation has been altered completely. I mean, it's just insane. Also, like, I didn't know ZeniMax was in a position to get bought.
I don't think any of us did.
Like, there's such a big name. I mean, I still think Microsoft grossly overpaid, but that's still, I mean, that's insane. You know, and it also, you know, all the people who want to count Xboxes down and out, no way. Like, they're swinging hard.
Yeah, I kind of agree that there's a lot of people that are still crapping. They're like, oh, Microsoft's done. Or like they keep trying to say that, like all the fanboys for other consoles, not naming which. But it is interesting because I'm actually seeing more and more articles pop up about the fact that there's a good chance that ES6, Starfield, and other properties are going to be Microsoft exclusives.
That would be
I
so huge.
I still don't think they will be.
I don't think they will be either.
There's that
Oh.
possibility.
No, there is a possibility. You're right.
There's
But-
always a possibility, but you're reading articles that are pure speculation.
True,
Well,
but
it's all
when you
pure
spend
speculation.
$7.5 billion,
Yeah, but it's
you-
not like they don't get a cut of those game sales on other platforms.
understandable.
Right.
But if you want to push your platform for even more sales, it
Mhm.
makes more sense.
Right, but your company's mantra under Phil Spencer is also we want everyone to play everything.
Mm-hmm.
True, but
It's
So
They'll
It's
just
even-
put Game Pass on PS5.
I mean,
mean-
that's the real answer. If I were Microsoft, I would make these games Game Pass exclusive.
oh,
If they're
will.
not on PlayStation, that's PlayStation's fault, not ours. We want to put it on PlayStation. We would love to put it on Game Pass on PlayStation. You'd have to ask Sony about that.
Yep, make Sony the bad guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, you wonder what makes them more money. Do they think they'll sell if they go exclusive? Will they just people already have PCs, whatever? Will they sell more Xboxes if they do this? What will make them more money? That or the 10 million copies, the share they get from 10 million copies sold on PlayStations, right? You know who? I don't know which. You know, I'm thinking, 10 million. I'm thinking like the Sky big stuff, right? The big Bethesda
Right.
stuff. What's more money? I don't know, but they're working on it. They've got it. They're figuring something out. Maybe they haven't even decided yet. I don't know. I'm curious.
I legitimately don't think they're going to go exclusive simply for the fact that Microsoft has been doing the trend of all these stuff that they own becomes free on Game Pass. So for Microsoft people, it's going to be free on Game Pass for probably 6 months, and then you'll have the option to buy it at a cheaper rate. But all the people on PlayStation or other formats that it comes out on, they're going to have to pay full freight.
You talking about like the fridge and an Alexa? So they
No,
come out
I
on that
was
stuff?
I was thinking like the 6 players on Stadia.
Okay.
I have a Stadia controller. I just want to let you guys know.
Do you
I
really?
can't-
I
I
think
have
those
to
games are still
know
coming out.
how often do you use it?
Oh, I plugged it in once and never plugged it again. I got it for free because I'm YouTube Premium, and they just gave away. They just gave them just to YouTube Premium members. I have like a family plan for YouTube Premium, and they just sent it to me. I plugged it in, loaded up Doom 64 because I had bought it for I had a coupon to get it, and went. It works, but it's Doom 64, and I'd rather play that on my computer anyway, and I never plugged it back up. Thought about getting Cyberpunk on it, like because I don't have a new console. Like that'd be a good place to play Cyberpunk, and then Cyberpunk happened, so now I'm just gonna wait and maybe get it like in I don't know September or whenever they get it all figured out. But I was going to get Immortals Phoenix Rising on it maybe, but it's not 60 frames. And I was like, well, I'll just get it on PlayStation. So I have touched it. Controller feels pretty cool. It's nice. But I have...
Hey, Google, if you're listening, I'm YouTube Premium. I didn't get my controller.
You look into it. Look up the article. Maybe it's still going.
Okay.
You said to claim it as a premium.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Womp womp.
Oh, well.
You know, one other thing while we're on the Microsoft kick, I know we were talking about, like, are these games going to sell Xboxes? I think they will, but I don't think that will sell as many Xboxes as EA Game Pass being on Game Pass.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's a war. Like, I think the best. Is there a better argument to get an Xbox in? You can pay $70 to play Starfield on PlayStation 4 plus the $500 for the console, or you walk into Best Buy, you give us $35 for your first monthly fee, and you get to play Starfield and 150 other Game Pass games that day.
Right. It's hard to argue that.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, that's insane.
Well, not to mention, most people know that companies do not make back as much as you think on consoles.
Right.
Like the console margin is very, very low. It's all
Except
about the
Nintendo.
software. Yes. So yeah, like that $35 plan, especially because they're making a little more on the back end of that. Man, Microsoft, I really think they had just a phenomenal year.
I think so too. My question is, when is the price of Game Pass going to increase? Because $10 a month for that still seems like a steal.
Technically, it already did go up twice.
Did it?
Initially, it was $7.99 when I first got it, and
Okay.
I pay $14.99 because I have Game Pass Ultimate.
Right.
Oh, you get the PC stuff too.
Yeah, so I mean, it has gone up a little bit, but
Yeah.
when almost every single person who owns an Xbox is paying either $9.99 or $14.99, I think they're doing just fine.
I hope so. 'Cause some of those games are expensive to get on there. I'm just saying. But
Some of them cost $7 billion.
some do. All right. Well, so that was our number one picks of stories for the year. It's time to move on to predictions. This is one of my favorite things that we ever do. Last year at this time, when Grant was here for the last Game of the Year episode, we all made some predictions about what we thought was going to happen in 2020. And it's always fun to go back and see how many we got these correct. So Grant...
Well, I always love the bickering about, like, well, is that a half point?
Half point?
We'll give you a quarter point on that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's always super fun. But Grant, as our guest, I'm going to let you start again. What were your predictions from last year?
Gosh, I can't believe a year has gone by. Can I just say that? Because, like, these predictions seemed like it would have made sense last year, but
Yeah, right.
poof. I'm blaming all these on COVID. I would have been 3 for 3 if it wasn't for COVID.
I feel bad for CB and COVID.
Yeah, right.
Shut up.
So the first
We'll get there.
So the first one was a more powerful Switch will be released by holiday 2020. I like Zack's thing of like all in, all chips on the table. I could have said announced, but I went out by. I was very wrong. Thanks, COVID. Second one was Super Mario Odyssey 2 will be announced in 2020. That did not happen.
I'm surprised that didn't happen.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah.
The third one was the 3DS will cease production in 2020, which did happen. That is a full point.
That's a full round point. That doesn't happen too often.
That ain't a
What was
3/4 point.
September 19th, I believe, was the day they announced that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that because Grant and I were talking about this. I was like, man, you didn't even get one
Oh
prediction
yeah,
right.
I was
He's
like, what are you talking about? No more 3DS.
I didn't remember that it had ceased production.
Yeah.
So
That was
shut
my initial
mouth.
reaction when I saw it too. I was like, did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it happened so quietly.
Switch is just eating up everything. So it just
Seriously.
right.
Like, why do you even need a 3DS
No.
anymore? I still have mine, but or no, I don't. I sold it because it was a special edition one and I needed the money. So, all right. So you got 1 point, Grant.
Boom.
Currently in the lead with 1 full point. No halvesies on that
let's
one.
Stop now. I win.
Yeah, look at
Continue.
this guy.
Let's go on and we'll go with me next. My first prediction was that Rare will bring back the Perfect Dark series.
Tie.
You get
Guess
a
what,
point.
guys?
Tie.
That is a full point.
That's a half point. Rare's not doing it.
They still own the licensing.
They still
No,
yeah.
but Microsoft owns it, not Rare. The Initiative is the developer.
Oh, come on.
You said Rare! If you had said Microsoft is bringing it back, that would be an easy full point to assign. You said Rare. That's not on me.
I give him the full point.
You just got done saying, "Oh yeah, the best part's when we do half points." No, that's a full point right there.
No, I do not see how that's a full point.
Grant, you're the deciding factor.
I would say 3/4 point.
Oh, come
There we go.
We're just going to split the difference.
I will allow
This
3/4
phrase
points.
is not correct. Rare did not
Thank
bring
you.
back the Perfect Dark series.
That
Okay.
is exactly right.
We're going to come back to that. That
I'm
if we're
fine
going to
with a full
split hairs like that.
I think we can round up. The Go cast can round up. I'll say it's a point.
Hey,
You know,
hey, even half a point would have rounded up to one full point.
There you
so
go.
Just saying.
I think you're gonna find listeners are on my side when this episode comes out.
The point was that Perfect Dark was coming back. That was
Yeah.
the.
But the sentence is Rare. Will bring back.
You're
for Rare
right.
too.
so where is
right.
Microsoft? Yeah, go ahead.
They're
Continue.
not.
Stadia
It's
will
just
be
Microsoft.
discontinued by the end of the year. That has not happened.
Getting
But
close.
shockingly.
If they're giving
might
it
as
away
well
for
have-
free.
Yeah.
They are trying to Microsoft do. They're putting the hardware in your living room. They did something else. They did another promotion. Oh, if you pre-ordered Cyberpunk, you get it for free. Or you still, I think, if you buy Cyberpunk through Stadia, they'll send you the controller and a Chromecast Ultra. So it's like they're really trying. And it's just, and I cannot. And I thought about it. I was like, do I want to use Stadia? But you got to buy stuff. You know, you got Luna coming out as a subscription. You got Game Pass as a subscription. If it was just a $10 subscription, I'd probably do it. But I'm not going to pay $60 on this for this thing that is going to. It's Google. It's going to vaporize in 3 years.
Huge misfire.
Like, anyway, sorry. Why am I'm yelling about? I own
No,
the
and
controller,
also, like-
so I'm angry. Right? That's
You
like,
have every right to be mad because it's the only reason I'm not supporting it. Because if they shut it down, you lose everything.
everything. Yeah, totally.
And I feel like their biggest exclusive is Lost Words, which is an indie 2D platformer. Which is it's not exactly lighting the world on fire.
I mean, they're like in their marquees for like the games you should play. It's like Human Fall Flat. Human Fall Flat's great, but it's $5 and it's been out for 4 years. Like that's
Right.
that's what you get. That's your like hero banner. Your third hero banner is Human
It
Fall
reminds me
Flat.
when like Wii U came out and it was like play Darksiders 2 and Arkham City, these
Yeah,
games that came out 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my third prediction was that Nintendo will launch a Nintendo 64 Mini or a Game Boy Mini in 2020, which
Womp.
did not happen. I'm genuinely surprised. Of these three, that's the one I thought would have happened more than the Perfect Dark story would have.
It's funny because we got a Game Gear Mini instead.
That's true. Well, did that come out?
Yeah, it's out.
Oh man, I missed.
It's tiny.
Oh,
It's
that super,
really
super
small.
tiny one. Yeah, I remember that now. So I ended up with 3/4 of a point, rounded up to a full point, but we'll still give Grant the edge here. CB, you are up, sir.
Well, his was just straight up. There's no contention. He was just right.
Todd Howard will reveal more info on Starfield with gameplay footage at E3. Gameplay or extended cutscene footage longer than a minute.
See, I love when you're specific.
Yep.
Because the trailer is actually 1 minute, 9 seconds.
But was that this year?
Yes, it was.
The Starfield trailer?
Yes, it was.
God, it feels like 9
With
years ago.
gameplay footage?
So we've actually found out that the one space station that they show is
Uh-huh.
actual gameplay footage.
Is this a quarter point? What is
So-
this?
That's why I was like, I should get a quarter point for this
A quarter point. I'll give you
I would
a
give a
quarter
quarter point.
point.
because that's all I'm getting.
I'm just doing that 'cause
Your
CB.
problem was that you focused everything around E3, probably because you were so excited about going to E3.
Oh, I mean, dude, there's nothing more exciting than E3.
I know.
Yeah. Because we actually, like, we were just talking about this because I had just found out that, like, I was going and I got crapped on.
Yep.
Hands-on access to new consoles at E3. Guaranteed that probably would have happened if E3 happened. Because that was my softball.
Yep.
And then
And then this, your last one is your preview of this year's prediction.
yep, Tunic will be released on consoles. Nope.
They did talk about it in December, though.
They
So
did.
that's nice.
They've still talked about it, but we still don't have a release date.
No, I just yeah. Because
So-
they want it to be a surprise.
Yeah, I still don't think this game is ever coming.
I believe it will. I just don't
No.
think you're going to know anything about it until it comes out.
No, they're gonna rename it something else, and then nobody's gonna know about it.
And they're gonna have a great name like Tunic, and they're gonna call it something like Tunic Phoenix Rising.
The Fox Adventures 64.
Yeah, something like that.
Grass of Wisdom.
Poor CB finished up with a quarter point.
I got pooped on.
And Zach, what about you?
All right, well, they got Warner Brothers will announce a shared DC universe to kick off with Rocksteady's Justice League.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
no. No.
Well, they announced a shared DC game universe. That's the only part that's right, though.
I will give you a quarter point.
Because Suicide Squad is in the Arkhamverse directly. So I would say
that might be worth a half a point. Quarter point? All right.
I'm going to give him a quarter because he specifically did say Justice League.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I feel like that takes it back because Rocksteady's game is not Justice League, even though it should be. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you.
I bet it originally was. And then EA will announce an open world Star Wars planet hopping adventure.
I was really hoping this one would come true.
Me too. Nice? I was just jazzed for this to be true.
I feel like everyone wants this game now after Mandalorian Season 2.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
I mean, it basically was a video game, so now I'm just drooling for it, you know?
It continues a video game structure. And then Horizon Zero Dawn 2 will be announced as a PS5 launch game.
Technically,
no.
It was, right? It was announced as a launch game, and they changed it.
No. They announced it.
They announced it, but it was never announced as a launch game.
Okay.
Right.
I actually looked into this. Like most of these I actually researched today. And that's why I found out that the Starfield trailer was 1 minute 9 seconds.
Oh my God. You actually went that deep into it. I still don't know. I mean, a quarter of a point. Okay, a quarter of a point.
With what?
So Grant had 1 point. I had 3/4 of a point. And you guys each had a quarter of a point. So Grant.
Well, that's just rough year.
By calling the 3DS being discontinued, wins the predictions this year. That's pretty crazy.
Game of the year.
What do you think the safest prediction was? Probably the N64 Mini probably seemed like the safest one going in, right?
If what's the phrase I'm looking for? If access to goods made overseas, what do you call it? Like pipeline. If resources were available, I think the mini consoles probably would have happened. If what do they call constrained supply? You know, stuff from made in China is harder to get right now.
Supply and demand.
Yeah, because of
when
COVID.
we recorded this, I think the biggest give was hands-on access to consoles at E3 when we initially recorded this.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. Yes. True.
That was probably the biggest softball.
Because you guys gave me crap for that. They're like, come on, like, could you pick something a little easier? And then, nope, like, that was the farthest thing from coming true this year.
Yep. That's going to be my point. Grant said that if COVID hadn't happened, that would, E3, CBs probably both would have come true, his E3 ones.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that was fun.
Starfield thing. I don't think Starfield would have happened.
No,
not to a full point credit. No.
Okay. All right.
Personally,
now that we've gotten last year's out of the way, I seriously just look forward to that. I know it's only like a little 10-minute segment or whatever, but I just love looking back at a year ago and seeing where our minds were and how different they were, or how different they are compared to now. So let's look at our predictions for 2021. What do you think is going to happen in 2021? Zach, you get to start this time.
Well, as Grant pointed out earlier, I kind of like to go for it. So right at the top, Star Wars 1313 is resurrected as a new game.
I thought about putting that really hard. I really did think about putting that exact same thing.
Not going to be the 1313 we saw, but they will announce a game called Star Wars 1313.
Oh, so you don't think it'll be the same game?
I don't think it'll be like that Uncharted-esque game they showed off before.
Uh-huh.
But I think they will resurrect the concept.
Okay.
You know,
I like it.
So the working title will be Star Wars 1313.
Right. Or the finished one.
Or I was gonna say finished title. I like it. I'm glad I didn't pick it.
Starfield will launch in 2021 as a timed digital only Game Pass exclusive.
So you can only play it
on Game Pass.
On Game Pass.
Can't buy
but
a disc.
it's timed, so
That's
you
a
can do it
bold
later.
prediction that's
Thank
coming
you.
this year.
All chips on
That's
the table.
probably true.
Love it, Zach.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Love it.
I think you're crazy for saying that Starfield will release this year.
They had not. When did they? I mean, this game has been in development since Fallout 4 shipped.
Has it though? I feel like they announced it at that press conference well after Fallout. They didn't announce it,
but
at the
they
Fallout.
announced it before the press conference. You knew they were making a game called Starfield.
I feel like the first time we heard about it was they just said, "We got a new game we're working on called Starfield," and everyone's like, "What's Starfield?"
Okay, maybe we knew they were making a sci-fi game.
Maybe I don't know.
We've known about them making a space game for years,
Okay.
for sure. And then I feel like my safest bet is I'm going to say a new Uncharted game is announced out of Sony San Diego.
New Uncharted game out of Sony San Diego.
Yes, the developers of the show.
Okay.
Like the baseball game.
Huh? The baseball game. They started hiring for a second team a few years ago, and we don't know what they're working on.
Oh, okay.
I think that game will be Uncharted.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Will it coincide with the release of the film?
it will not that soon. They might announce it around then. Maybe.
Interesting. All right. I like it. CB, what are your predictions for 2021?
I believe
You
we
can
are gonna. Well, no, I'm not R. Kelly. First off, I'm gonna start off with what I believe is gonna be a softball. We're gonna get a new F-Zero game announced this year.
Why you
I
gotta
don't know.
why you gotta tug on my heartstrings, friend?
Yeah, I want that to be true more than anything.
Well, I was 16 years with no F-Zero game.
I know.
17?
I feel like
17
it's it's probably one of the few like legitimate Nintendo properties that doesn't get talked about.
That would be such a good game for Nintendo's stealth launch.
Yep, I
Yeah.
agree.
So that's my softball. Some form of VR is going to be coming to the Xbox.
Oh,
That's a pretty good one.
All right.
So I really want that to happen. And by December 15th,
Wow.
we will see what a new Nintendo console looks like.
So not a new Switch, but a brand new something Nintendo.
I can't
Yes.
wait for them to announce it December 16th.
I know,
I'm gonna be
right?
so pissed.
That'd be so perfect.
Don't destroy me like that.
We'll give you 0.6 of a point.
0.6 of a point. I like the F-Zero choice a lot.
Well, I want it. I want it a lot.
I think
That too.
everyone
That's a big
wants
part
it.
of it. I went back and played the original F-Zero. That game still kind of holds up pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Takes skill.
Like I never played the was the GX one. It was a hand. Everyone just loved the
That was GameCube was GX,
GameCube,
right?
and I never played that one.
Oh
But
man.
everyone raved about that one.
It's
That was
really
great. F-Zero
good.
X was also great.
And the music on the original F-Zero was so
Oh my gosh.
good. You missed it, Grant. We played a lot of F-Zero music in the loudspeakers at R2V2.
Oh, good,
That-
good man.
Yeah,
Good job.
that was good. All right, my first prediction. I am going to say that neither Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid Prime 4 will release in 2021.
Wow.
Is that your softball then?
Yeah,
'Cause I don't
it's
think
kind of softball because there's two of them, right? So
yeah, I
it's-
guess so.
If I had just said one or the other, that would be a little bit easier. But I said both of them.
I think you're right on both counts. But
Okay, but
I don't know, man. We're starting to see more and more footage from Breath of the Wild 2.
I have a
Yeah.
I have a prediction very similar to yours, Scott, and I'm not going
Okay.
to change it. And we're going to see what mine is when we get to my turn.
okay.
Continue.
all right. Well, it's funny you say that because I had one that was very similar to CB's. Either Microsoft or Sony will announce new VR hardware for their console.
We already know the PSVR 2 is coming.
Okay, then I'll change it to Microsoft then. But I mean, whatever. But I think, yeah. I think that the Quest 2 has revitalized VR in a way that people weren't expecting because I saw so many kids that got a Quest 2 for Christmas. Like it was the hot item, partially because of its price point, $300
Yeah.
for a standalone VR set that actually works really well is ridiculous. And I think
only-
that some of us are in this old guy mentality that like, oh, we don't want it. I mean, we want VR, but we want it to work. We want it to be better than it is, I think.
I want it to not require a Facebook account.
That too. But I think that the next generation, the upcoming generation of kids that are playing games are going to popularize VR in a way that we weren't expecting. And the console manufacturers are going to have to step up and be a part of that. So I'll say I said either Microsoft or Sony, but I guess I'm going to have to hedge my bet here and actually say Microsoft. And so Steve and I will have the same prediction pretty much. My last prediction for 2021 is that Fallout 5 will be announced in 2021.
I will only allow that if Bethesda does the same type of viral campaign they did.
Oh man, that they did for Fallout 76?
Just a webcam for 24 hours.
Dude.
Where they just did random things.
That was so much fun. And I still have never played the game. But I had a lot of fun watching that camera for 24 hours. I mean, I just had it on in the background. Grant, you know what we're talking about? You literally were crazy.
I don't
right
remember
now.
that.
So it was in June of that year, because it was like right at the end. I was cleaning up my classroom. I remember specifically, I was cleaning up my classroom for the end of the school year. And they just did a live stream that said, hey, we got a cool announcement. And they just had it was just a picture of what's his name? Vault Boy.
It was Vault Boy.
It's just a picture of Vault Boy, like a live webcam feed of Vault Boy for 24 hours straight. But like it
was every 20 minutes they did something.
Well, at first it wasn't. At first it was like every 2 hours, and then like something would happen. Like they would set up a watch with the Vault Boy on it and right in front of the camera, so you had to with a certain time set. And so like everybody is online just kind of deciphering what these little clues mean and all this kind of stuff. And and then towards the end, things started coming 20 minutes at a time. Like all of a sudden, blue and yellow balloons would fall from the sky. And then employees started showing up and throwing confetti and had on like birthday hats and stuff like this. And we all had no idea what was going on other than it was something Fallout related. And it wound up being the announcement for Fallout 76, which you see the trailer. It's like, all right, yes, new Fallout game. And then it wound up being a multiplayer experience that wasn't what I wanted, but CB loved it. So
still do.
All right, and then they very scummily started taking pre-orders right away, even though they didn't even tell you what kind of game it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean,
Trashy.
you can't cancel a pre-order, but yeah,
Still a little scummy.
Yeah. All right, Grant, what are you going to win with this year on predictions?
Well, my first one is similar to yours, but it's different, which means we're going head to head here. I'm saying that there will be a new Zelda out this year and no Metroid. So one of this is getting half a point. I don't know which one it is.
There you go.
That's probably what's going to happen. We both can't be right? So
Now, are you saying any Zelda? Not necessarily Breath of the Wild 2, but a new Zelda game.
Zelda game will be out this year. But not a remake, like a new Zelda game.
Okay.
Not necessarily Breath of the Wild.
Because I actually toyed with the idea of saying that, and I didn't make this prediction, I'm not making it, but I really seriously considered saying that there was going to be HD remasters. There was going to be 2 HD remasters of Zelda games in 2021. Like one was going to be maybe 2 or 3. Like one's going to be like the 8-bit ones up to, the 8-bit and the 16-bit ones. And then there was going to be like the 64 ones with maybe Twilight Princess, or whatever. There's going to be a collection, because isn't it like the 35th anniversary of Zelda this year?
I don't know.
This year.
Be a good year.
That was going to be my prediction, but yeah, yours is strangely opposite yet the same. So no Metroid.
No Metroid.
We're both betting on that, but you're betting that there's going to be a new Zelda game. I'm betting that there's going to be no Breath of the Wild 2 in 2021.
Hope you're wrong.
If there's a new Metroid, I sure hope it has metal in it.
Me too.
Aw, look at you.
Me too. Hey, buddy.
What's your second one, man?
I am predicting a full Cyberpunk redemption. This is gray area, but I'm going to say by the end of this year, everyone is going to be happy with Cyberpunk.
I know the game's media will be.
The what?
games media. They love to write redemption stories about games.
Oh, yes, they do. I know they're going to go and like change dumb story shit or bad voice acting or whatever, but I think that it's going to experience a small version of the No Man's Sky thing. And by the end of this year, everyone will have come around on it and enjoy it.
I hope it happens quicker than No Man's Sky did, because I think their redemption was a little too late. Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Well, I think the fundamentals of Cyberpunk are stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
They are selling. The game, when it works, is still what they were selling.
Mm-hmm.
That they were advertising, right? No Man's Sky was just straight up not what it was advertised to be.
Yeah.
At launch, yeah.
So this is gray. This is maybe max half a point. Who knows? But I do think that they're going to come around. They're going to spend this year shoring up this game. Maybe it's going to be with new story stuff. Maybe it'll obviously be fixing problems. Maybe there'll be multiplayer stuff. Who knows? But I think this year they're going to spend all the fat stacks they made on that game already to fix it. Is my prediction for that.
It's funny you said that, Grant, because you may not believe me, but I actually was going to do that pick as well.
Really?
And I didn't because of the gray area.
I don't care.
Because there's no like,
if it's a max 2 stars, star search. We're going star search measurements now. Two out of 4 star. Whatever, I'll take it. I just wanted to say something about Cyberpunk.
Wow. How many people remember Star Search? I bet Zack doesn't.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You and me, Scott.
Oh, man.
All right. The last one is Sony will introduce a Game Pass / Netflix style service of some kind before the end of this year. So they will have.
They did already, didn't they?
They just have PS Now.
I thought they just updated PS. Did they update PS Now to reflect like new games? Or I guess not new games, but
PS Now is like
games.
an archive service where you can stream them. And I think some of them you can download, right? Is that how that works?
Gotcha.
I thought PS Now was all streaming subscription service for their older catalog.
I think you download the PS4 games.
You do download the PS4 games?
You can't like God of War and stuff. I don't know if God of War's still on there though.
Is it on there?
I think they pulled it and put it on that little weird PlayStation Plus Gold catalog for PS5. Actually,
yeah, that's what I was.
So I think they actively made PS Now worse.
Right.
I thought PS Now was only the streaming service, so this may be an uninformed prediction. And so if I don't take any stars, that's fine.
But you're saying they're going to have like games that will release day and date on PlayStation Game Pass. They're going to have a subscription service like that, where exclusive games to Sony are going to be able to be played day and date if you pay for the subscription service.
You know, I didn't even include that in my prediction, but let's just say that. I was just saying there's a flat like fee and it's all you can play for a list of 100 games or so.
I think, yeah, I feel like the thing that they would have to change to make Grant's prediction right would be putting new games on there, because you're right, they only put in even when they did put God of War on there, it was 2 years after launch.
Yeah, it's
or
like the greatest hits collection stuff.
Right,
is what they've on there now.
Yeah, like PS3 games and stuff like that.
So sure, let's do that. Let's say that.
Yeah,
let's say I don't mind, whatever, if that makes it.
Yeah, I feel like Scott and I are saying the same thing. It's just we're trying to suss out your prediction. That's all.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, that's great.
I'm gonna laugh when he gets it right, because like Microsoft's Game Pass comes to PlayStation this year, and he's like, "Did it?
Does it really?"
No. He said he's making a pretty bold prediction right there.
Gotcha.
Phil Spencer wants it to happen.
Well, sure.
Of course he does.
They want money.
Yeah.
I almost put the prediction on here, but I couldn't remember. And I want to know if is God of War Ragnarok? Did they announce it?
It
just
is
PS5?
this year.
No, there's okay. First of all, CB, there's no freaking way in hell the game is coming out this year.
They've openly said that it's Q3, Q4.
I know what they said.
Yeah.
There's a 0% chance it's happening. I just couldn't remember.
I think you guys should make a wager right now.
Is it a PS?
We can't do predictions anymore. You guys just need to do a wager for next year.
Slap bet?
Is it coming to? No. Is it going to PS4? That's what I'm asking.
No.
One of my predictions is going to be that God of War Ragnarok will be released on PS5 and PS4.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's coming out this year, there's no way they can go PS5 exclusive for this soon.
Concur.
I think after. I could see some PS5 exclusive hotshot games.
Because it'd be weird optics, right? Like Horizon is coming out on both, and then if God of War is allegedly coming out in the same calendar year, if it was not on PS4, it would just look weird. I just
feel like they need like when people can actually buy them, right? When the
Yeah.
shelves are
I mean,
full and they need to sell more games, they're going to drop a hot exclusive for PS5 or something. You know, like
That's also a great point. They spent a lot of money on God of War Ragnarok, and you're not going to make it back as a PS5 exclusive right now.
I'd love to see what that looks like. I bet it's on PS4 even. I bet it's just amazing looking. But I forgot that was a game.
Well, it's not
Cool.
It's not coming out this year, that's for sure.
Well, there you have it. Our predictions for 2021. Also, got to give a shout out to Christina Flores, who actually went back and listened to last year's episode to find those predictions from last year for us. So I didn't have to. I really do appreciate it. Maybe this year we'll actually write them down now, so we don't have to do that next year. Save for some time. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to our. You know what? We need some bumper music. We're gonna go on to our awards and Game of the Year awards for 2020 right now. All right, so before we get to the actual personal favorites of the games, we got some fun categories to discuss. First off, best new franchise of 2020. What, in your opinion, was the best new franchise of the year? Not a sequel, brand new intellectual property. CB?
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
All right. Now, I can't say it's a good or bad choice because I haven't played it enough. But
I'm surprised.
I mean, it feels... Yeah, it's a new property, but it just feels like it borrows so much from other games.
I'm just surprised because I thought he would pick something else.
Yeah, me too.
Darksiders stole everything, and it was my favorite game that year. So
Yeah, right. My favorite game ever is Fallen Order, and it doesn't have a single original idea in the whole
There
thing.
you go.
I'm curious to think what you think I was going to say.
Probably what mine is.
It's probably what mine is.
Oh, I'm next, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima.
See, I can't consider it a franchise because I don't think there's going to be a sequel.
Well, it's funny because I don't think Immortals is going to have a sequel.
But if it's best new franchise, they're not going to have a sequel in the same year, so nothing would fall into that category then.
No. I don't think Ghost is ever going to get a sequel.
Oh, yes, it will.
I don't think it will.
The disdain in his voice.
You have the whole mainland continent of, or not continent, but the whole mainland of Japan.
But he has.
Can't spoil the ending here.
I can't spoil.
My only hesitation is that the first Ghost of Tsushima was based on somewhat real history.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sequel would have to abandon that concept.
Yeah.
Which is fine. What's wrong with that?
I just wonder. Yeah, I wonder how many people actually cared that it took place in the real year of a Mongol invasion or not.
Right.
I bet it's just me and 4 other people.
Well,
Probably.
being the only person of these 4 that has beat Immortals, I legitimately think a sequel is going to be coming.
I hope you're right. I would love for a new franchise to get birthed out of Ubisoft.
That would be cool. Grant, what was your best new franchise of the year?
I put Hades. Also may not get a sequel, but I don't think there's any way to predict that. But I feel like Hades is just, everything about it feels very, very fresh to me. I think it looks, it has a look that I'm not used to seeing. It sounds different than I would expect. It plays different in a way that is, it sort of iterates on stuff that's come before, but it all feels very new and it all ties together super tightly. And it all feels super new to me. So I like it. That's my pick for new franchise.
All right, Zach?
Best new franchise, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
As well. I do think it'll get a sequel. I think by the end of that, Jin's personality has shifted enough where I want to see the start of a new adventure with him and his new outlook on
Don't get me wrong. I want to be wrong on this because I desperately love that game.
I just think it's sold and reviewed better than any other Sucker Punch game. I can't see how they wouldn't do a sequel.
That's my point.
And they built some sick tech that they could, if it looks this good round one. I mean, I can't imagine what them trees going to be looking like, on PS5 on round 2.
More cherry blossoms.
If they double down on the environment, like showing you where to go, sort of stuff, instead of an HUD, like it's going to be so immersive as well.
The next version of that, the sequel to that game, I think is that's the PS5 exclusive banger right there. No,
here's what they'll do: is they'll throw in the Nemesis system.
Oh man, don't tease it. That would be so awesome.
That's what's going to happen, man. That's my bold prediction. Can I get a fourth prediction for 2021?
No.
Place your lame one you stole from CB.
I'm not doing slap bet with CB. Have you seen the mitts on that dude? There's no way I'm ever doing that. I don't care how good the odds are. All right, biggest surprise of 2020. I'm going to go ahead and say that my biggest surprise was a game that I never even knew existed. Boy, and now the name is escaping me. Neon Abyss. Neon Abyss is a game that I never heard of. It randomly popped up on Game Pass, and it said roguelike on it, so I was like, I got to try it if it's free. And it wound up making my top 10 of the year. Neon Abyss is a fantastic Metroidvania-ish roguelike that is fantastic, and just neon art style, if it's not obvious enough in the title. Yeah, Neon Abyss is my biggest surprise of the year. Grant, how about you?
Biggest surprise, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 HD was just like out of nowhere, and it's just the perfect remaster. Like when that original HD came out years ago, the one from 7-8 years ago, it was just off. It didn't feel right. If you spent way too many hours on the OG Tony Hawk games, it just didn't feel right. This feels perfect, and it looks amazing. It's got HDR. They got almost all the songs back and added a bunch of new ones. I just feel like they knocked it out of the park. So I didn't see it coming, and then I certainly didn't see it being as good as it was. So.
And they actually made it better than Tony Hawk 1 and 2 because they added reverts and stuff like that,
They went back adding revert to the first game, which is just weird because that was 2 games later. Revert was 2 games.
Right. That was THPS 3.
So
they fundamentally changed and made better the original game, which remakes do not often do.
Brought in new skaters. Like I actually looked up some of the new skaters, but I wasn't familiar with because I haven't been following that stuff in a while. So yeah.
Which kind of made me feel like a kid again because I had no idea who any of those people were when I was a kid. Yeah. And it was great. And the only thing it was missing was Spider-Man.
Yeah, no Spider-Man, no Darth Maul this round, unfortunately. But
right. But it was also 3, right? Maul was 3.
Was that 3? Yeah, probably, yeah.
So with Wolverine as well, I think.
That's a good call. It wasn't one of my favorite games of the year. I dabbled a little bit, but I think my surprise was just how much people loved that game. Like it's all everybody talked about.
I 100% in it, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That game's so good.
Zach, what was your biggest surprise?
Hades. I fell in love with a roguelike this year. That's insane. As surprising it is that FF7 actually came out, it is more surprising that I fell in love with the genre. I don't like it. And I don't know if I'll ever find another roguelike I like again, but Hades was something special.
Hades has ruined me from ever being able to get you to play another one because they will never compare to Hades in your mind.
Yeah, every time I play a roguelike, I'll be like, it's fine. It's just not Hades.
Yeah, pretty much. Good call. CB?
Does it have to be a game?
No. Biggest surprise?
The Bethesda acquisition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because for me, that came way out of left field.
I don't think anybody even had a sniff of that happening. We all talked about them buying all kinds of studios. Bethesda was one of the ones doing press conferences. They're that big.
They're publishing games.
Yeah. It's just insane to me.
But on top of that, the fact that they were able to keep that quiet.
Yep. That's impressive. Right. That had to have been the ink wasn't dry yet when they decided to put a press release out about it because they knew that wouldn't be staying under wraps for long.
Yeah.
All right. Next category, underrated games of 2020. This is games that might not make our top 10 list, but deserve to be recognized. I said no more than 5 each year, but I think I had one.
I didn't even see that.
Grant.
I didn't even see that. I just put one. I'll come up with a second one.
No. I only have one. So
Kentucky Route Zero.
All right.
I feel like I don't think it's underrated because it didn't review all that well. I just think it sort of flew under people's radar because nobody knew quite what it is and what to think of it. But I think it's going to get more traction this year. I'm
going to look for a sale on that one because I think I need to play that.
It'll be on sale. I also really liked what's another one I had on here Round Guard was super fun. If you like
Round Guard.
Yes,
is it the pinball roguelike?
That was super. It's like a Peggle, but like an adventure game. Or no,
okay. That one. Okay, yeah.
It's kind of neat. That's pretty good. I really liked Origami King, but I think it got pretty good marks. So I don't know. There's my.
I did not like Origami King.
Oh, did you not?
I tried so hard to like that game. I could not.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, I
think the part of it that I wanted like old school Paper Mario.
Yes.
Because we haven't had one for so long outside of like the Mario and Luigi games. I just wanted Paper Mario or, Thousand Year Door.
Oh, yeah.
And I got this puzzle game that just wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah, it's the last few were terrible, in my opinion. This one was not. But it certainly wasn't back to that. And it's got the most shredding soundtrack. The boss music in this game is straight progressive Japanese metal, which I never thought Nintendo would allow in any of their games. So
much less Mario.
I can't. Yes, exactly. A colorful game like this, I can't. Like the stapler theme. Just look up Origami King stapler theme after the podcast and crank it. Anyway, whatever. Fun surprise.
All right, CB.
I have a couple. So,
all right.
Raji for me definitely made that list. Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope.
All right.
And kind of out of left field for me, but Superliminal.
Oh, really?
That was cool.
You like that one that much?
That was neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I are both huge Portal fans, and that game just gave me such a Portal vibe that
I need to go back.
Yeah. If you like Portal, I still recommend that game.
All right. Is that it? You had more?
That's it.
All right. My only one I had on my list for underrated game was Shady Part of Me, which is a game I talked about just very recently. It's a Limbo clone, sort of. It's got its own little clever spin, some really clever puzzles but the game it's relaxing. It's a relaxing puzzle game because the puzzles never feel so overly difficult that you get frustrated or feel like you hit a brick wall. It's just, and the music is just relaxing. I don't know. It's a hard to find a relaxing puzzle game that still makes you feel satisfied for solving the puzzles. And that game succeeds at that. And the art style is really great too. So, let's see. Most disappointing game of 2020. Zach.
Well, first, since you didn't ask me what my underrated games of 2020 are, let me just slide in
I'm
there.
Sorry.
That's all right. I see what you think of me. First, Yes Tomorrow, which is a game I gave like a 4 on Switch. I just want to throw it in here because they updated it and it actually plays really well now. And because they had outsourced that port and they paid the price for that.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of that game has very tight platforming, and now that it plays well, I think I would recommend checking it out. But my review of the version I played stands. It made me actually nauseous.
Wow.
But the version where you can play is a very charming 2D indie platformer. And then the other game on is Coffee Talk, which was a game I played at the beginning of the year where you make coffee drinks for vampires and werewolves late at night. And it's a little visual novel about all these very slice of life game, all these people in their relationships and whatnot. It was a very charming game, but it was a hell of a year. So it just couldn't find a place in my top 10.
All right. Sorry, anyway. I missed over you, man. I did not do it intentionally.
But disappointing, Avengers.
Avengers?
Oh, yes. Bummer.
I was so excited. Right, Scott, we saw that E3 demo. It looked incredible.
It looked amazing.
And then, there were plenty of warning signs along the way. This game might not hit, but I still could not be excited for a superhero game. And I mean, when people talk about the game now, I forgot it came out.
It's that forgettable.
It's so forgettable. It's from Crystal Dynamics, right? They made those Tomb Raider reboots I love and adore. This is a talented studio, and that game is just boring. It's not even terrible. It's just so boring.
Yeah.
It's way worse.
All right, I'm just looking at my list to make sure I don't skip over somebody here by mistake. CB, was your most disappointing game of the year?
Well, I was really close to aligning myself with Zack on this one, but I'm going to throw out one that's a little more surprising. Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Wait, what?
That's on my top 10, man.
You love that game.
It's so good.
For me, it just wasn't the same as the original.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing. Have you played the original in a while?
I had so many problems with that game. The fact that Nemesis was like one of the biggest idiots. I mean, there was so many times like I could get him trapped on a doorway
True
and then
to the original.
Just shoot him. It didn't feel the same. Like, very pretty to look at, but I didn't have as much fun with it as I did with the Resident Evil 2 remake.
I mean, talking earlier about those tight linear short games that I love. That's exactly. It was just a roller coaster ride. This game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great.
I'm really
sad to hear it.
surprised by that pick, see, because I kind of expected that to be in your top 10 for some reason.
Give you a hint.
Love
It's
it.
not.
Well, yeah, I assume that now. You're not going to have a game in your top 10 and on your most disappointing games of all. I
don't know, man. I played a lot of turds this year.
So did I. Speaking of, my most disappointing game of 2020 was definitely Bubble Bobble for Friends.
Oh, bummer.
God,
I didn't try it. But
I actually
love
forgot
Bubble
that came out
Bobble.
this year.
What's that?
I forgot that came out this year.
Yeah, you guys know me. I love Bubble Bobble. And like, how do you mess up Bubble Bobble? They totally did. That game was a chore to finish, and it wasn't that long. It just lost everything that made the original Bubble Bobble exciting at all. By the way, that's really hard to say quickly. So yeah, regretted that I had to review that game. I really hate reviewing games that I don't like. I hate doing that so much. Grant, what was your most disappointing?
I put Fall Guys, and I didn't have like a huge. I wasn't wildly excited for it, but I just kind of got hyped up leading up to release, and it seemed like such a fun idea. And then in practice, I found the physics to be infuriating, and also realizing that the fact that I was playing 60 other people didn't matter. Like, it could have been bots, and it just doesn't matter. It's just sort of running. It's sort of like a Wipeout game or something, like a little obstacle course, but of course it whittles down people. But I guess because you're not really interacting with anyone at all, the fact that it was multiplayer just didn't seem to matter, and I just found myself completely let down. So I uninstalled it. I was like, well, next week everyone was streaming it, and season 2's coming, so I downloaded it again because it was on PS Plus, and just not feeling it. So it's not that I think it's bad, but I was just wildly disappointed by it. I don't know why I thought it was just going to be a banger for me. But
did you play with friends?
A little bit,
because that was a game changer for me.
I did that the second time, and I had more fun. But then it was a matter of I wasn't able to play the same time as other people, so I would just kind of hop back into the main matching and just didn't kind of bum me out. So that's what I have other stuff I thought about putting in, but they're games I didn't finish. So I landed on Fall Guys.
You were surprised by me saying Resident Evil 3.
Yeah. I was shocked by that.
Yeah, I was like, Fall Guys, really? Wow.
Yeah. Didn't feel it at all. Thought it was not doing it for me.
I mean, I haven't played it since that community game night when we were playing it, but I had a good time with it.
Party game.
Yeah, it's a great party game.
Yeah, it could have very well been the environment I played it in. Didn't play with enough buddies, but I just didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, any games that you regret not checking out in 2020? We're supposed to start with CB, but I know there's not going to be any answer there, right?
No, I have one.
Okay.
Half-Life Alyx.
That was on my list as well. That was just purely because we can't. We don't have a way to play it.
Yeah.
Yet.
CB does.
It doesn't have a 2 yet.
No, you can play it on the 1. You just have to have the $70 cable.
No, you could buy you can play it wirelessly. You can use virtual desktop. That's how I've been playing PC stuff. It's zero lag, and it's all wireless as long as you got a decent router next to your computer. Believe it or not, but
you're playing it on the 2. I have the 1.
Can you not play? Can you not tether with the 1?
The virtual desktop on the 1 for some reason is kind of hit or miss for me.
Oh, bummer. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, you got to buy that cable. You can get a cheaper one, but it still needs to be a fiber optic one. They're scamming people with the cable stuff.
Yeah.
Big time. But yeah,
I have one, but it's only like 2 feet. So I don't want to marry my head to the laptop.
Just stick your head in a head crab. Just put it right in there.
Yep. So that's the only one on your list?
Yeah, that's the only one,
Because you played every other game this year except that one.
I didn't play Hades, so yeah, I will add Hades to my list.
All right. You would have hated Hades. No, you liked Dead Cells, so you might have liked Hades.
I liked Bastion.
I don't think Bastion is
pretty-
in the same league as.
Pretty different.
Well, I mean,
But it's made by the same people, isn't it?
yeah, but I mean, they're similar in that they're both isometric and they involve
Yeah, you're
combat.
right. I
The core
absolutely love Dead
combat is
Cells.
quite similar,
Yeah.
I think.
All right, my list is pretty extensive. Cyberpunk 2077, Watch Dogs Legions, Half-Life Alyx, which you already mentioned, Miles Morales, which I played at the very beginning, but obviously did not finish it. Star Wars Squadrons. I played 2 missions on that game and never went back to it. And Immortals Phoenix Rising are all games that I regret not playing a lot of. I dabbled in all but 2 of them. Still haven't touched Cyberpunk or Watch Dogs, but the others I've played for just a little bit. But those are ones I definitely regret, and I feel bad because some of those probably would have made my top 10 if I had played them. You know what? Valhalla. I didn't play enough of Valhalla to make that count. So, Grant.
Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I will be remedying perhaps tonight.
Nice.
Came in the mail today. Good stuff. And then
Which platform are you playing on, by the way?
PS4. So
Okay.
I thought about doing Switch because sometimes I can play it. If I can play on the TV if I want, I can go handheld if my wife is watching the tube. But I was looking at the visual differences between Switch and PS4, and they were too big enough to just not go PS4. PS4 looks the vistas look so much better on PS4 that I just decided I needed to go that way instead. So, and then Ghost of Tsushima as well, which I will get there this year. I'm just going to go in order, but I wish I could have had time to touch that last year. Excited to get it. That'll be my control for this year, right? So next year I'll be freaking out about Ghost of Tsushima, and we'll have all these samurai books in the house or something, Go dive deep.
Your wife would probably be into the story in that game too. It's a really good story.
Yeah, I guess, but this didn't make it into. This is the pre-chat, but I played Control last year, and my wife was so into it that she ended up buying 3 coffee table books of New Brutalist architecture, the Atlases, which is just insane. But Control took over our house last year.
Nice,
just the best game. Anyway,
who's up next? Zack.
Immortals Phoenix Rising, of course.
Yep.
Just to add to the echo chamber. I'm bummed I didn't get around to checking out Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more about Breath of the Wild stuff. Mafia Definitive Edition is a game I should have played with how excited I was for it.
Same here.
And then same with you, man. I played a few missions of Star Wars Squadrons, got caught up in other stuff, and it's inexcusable. I haven't gone back to finish it.
Especially for how much we've been clamoring for exactly that game for forever.
I mean, right? It's just it is quite involved. The control scheme, it plays differently than most modern games. So I think I would have to restart and just stay committed to it.
Yep.
I have a friend
because I was not good at it.
I have a friend
Either.
that invested in a HOTAS for it. Like he decided to go get the rig, and he's like, that is the way to play a dogfighting game. It's like that's. He's kind of a plain guy anyway. I'm surprised he didn't have one, but I don't know what he ended up buying. But he's like, that's a huge difference going from.
What was the acronym you used? HOTAS.
HOTAS. Hands-on throttle and accelerate. Oh, I'm gonna look it up. It's basically it's a flight stick with accompanying buttons and things. Is what?
Oh yeah, I figured. I just had never heard it referred to as a HOTAS.
Yeah,
before.
let me look it up here.
I actually believe it is hands-on thrust and acceleration simulator.
Is it? Okay. Hands-on throttle. Okay, there you go.
That's really cool.
Yep.
I've never played a flight simulator game that way.
I think if you guys are Star Wars guys, like I know you are, no one wants more plastic in their house, but they make so many different controllers that are very reasonably priced. It might be worth just finding a secondhand one and.
Well, actually,
and,
we have a mutual friend that is a listener of the show that has one for PlayStation, and he has the game on there as well too. So we can he already told us that we can borrow his copy and his flight stick, but so that may have to happen. Although he said there was mapping issues or something, like the buttons that would pop up on the screen don't match up on the controller or something.
It's because the controller that he has is for the PS4, but it is also usable on the PC, so it throws up PlayStation symbols.
Gotcha.
I know, it showed a PC symbol, so it was like WASD, but when you look at the controller, it was like the PlayStation symbols.
That would be
Gotcha.
confusing.
Mm-hmm.
See, here's what I want to do, though. If I were to do that and go the PS4 route to play that game with the HOTAS control, I would also need to play it in VR.
Right.
PSVR with the
You
stick.
could. That's the full immersion, baby. But I
Yeah.
do think that just playing, it's kind of like people don't. I can't sell people on steering wheels ever. Most people aren't into cars enough to do it. But can you imagine getting into your vehicle to go to work and driving it with an analog stick on your Xbox controller? You know what I mean? Like, how insane would that be? How that's like you would run into the first tree. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. It's kind of the steering wheel adds to the experience, and I think that the HOTAS also adds to the whole dogfighting experience as well. I think
that's a good way to pitch it.
I don't think you'd go back
It is.
if you. But you got to be into like flight sims and stuff. How many games actually use it? But if you can borrow one, at least give it a shot.
The funny thing is, the moment you said that, I instantly thought of Men in Black 2.
Oh, I don't remember.
He pushes the button and the car converts, and the PlayStation controller pops out.
Oh, yeah.
I try not to think about Men in Black 2 too often.
I
I also regret not playing Vader Immortal, but that was strictly laziness. Because how long was I saying, guys, I can't wait until it comes to PSVR to play it, and then it came out, and I'm like, I can't be bothered to set up the PSVR.
Isn't that the terrible thing? After playing the Quest, and like you just put it on and start playing, and then now I've got like, I feel like there's 5 cables I have to plug in.
It's very involved, and you get your living room set up with the entertainment center. Your cords are all behind the TV anyway. Now you got to do a freaking puzzle box to set up your PSVR, and then you're going to use it for the 2 hours it takes to beat the game, and then you're like, well, what do I got to put it back up, I guess?
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
That. Last category I've got here before we get to our personal favorites of the year. Best narrative of 2020. I'm going first on this one. I have a feeling this might be a repeat, but Last of Us Part 2 was my favorite narrative of the year. Anybody else have something different, Grant?
Narrative?
Narrative,
did you all
best
put
narrative.
Oh, my next in line here? I would say Kentucky Route Zero. No, wait.
Okay.
Narrative?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What are we looking at?
Best narrative of 2020.
Best narrative of 2020.
Right after the regret.
Oh, I got confused because I put it under both. I put it under 2 things, if that's allowed. Kentucky Route Zero for underrated and narrative.
Oh yeah, it's allowed.
That's
Yeah.
totally fine.
I don't think I played another game that kind of got me wrapped up in its yarn as much as Kentucky Route Zero. So that's.
I am so intrigued by that game now.
I think it is
Yeah.
going to bore the crap out of you. In moments, you're going to be like, I don't know if I feel like playing Kentucky Route Zero because I don't feel like reading and clicking. But
It doesn't strike me as a Scott Clark game, personally.
but it's not particularly long, so you have to let me know if you don't like it. Great, it's fine, but hey, it's different. I guarantee you haven't played anything quite like it. So
I do want to play it.
Zach?
I was always waiting for them to finish it. Now I kind of forget that it's out.
that's exactly what happened with about everybody. I think people
Yeah.
remember. Oh yeah, that's the game they'd worked on forever.
It took way longer than I would have anticipated.
I think it was like 6
to
years,
finish
6
it.
or 7 years. I
Yeah.
played the first episode or most of it back then, and then just didn't follow up at all. I was like, I'll just wait till it's over.
Wow.
Flash forward 6 years.
But best narrative, I would also say The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay. CD?
And Last of Us Part 2.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good story.
I mean, Last
It
of Us
was
Part 2. Sorry, I meant to say no.
Yeah, come on, man. Try to get a clean
I
sweep.
just want to be cool.
Have you played it, Zach? Grant?
I have not. I wasn't a big. The first game was narratively strong. I just didn't like the way it felt to play. There's the controls. I could never.
Don't let
I
that
think Part
stop
2
you from
plays-
playing Part 2, because Part 2 was fun as hell.
It plays so much better.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
It's night and like, because I replayed the first game right before and then played the second one. It is night and day. It's insane. The first game is not. I do not think the first game plays well at all.
Not to go too down into the Last of Us thing, but I love horror games. I played Visage this year. I played Layers of Fear Part 2. I played Blair Witch. I'm into that. But something about the grit of Last of Us Part 2, stabbing a gentleman in the cheek and hearing the blubber of the blood fly out of his face as you slash another person. So there's so much viscera, and this was such a dark year that I could never see myself wanting to dive in to that. Did you guys ever find that to be a wall or like, you all finished it, right? Everybody finished it? Never really caused any problems for you guys? Like, it was just fun enough that none of that really got to you guys?
No, I think the narrative itself pushed me forward in that so much because I had to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I had to see, and I don't want to ruin it. I don't know how much you've read about it or how much you know.
I know bits. I know about the structure and some of the bigger events.
Okay, but that bigger thing that you're thinking of, I'm assuming, was not known to us at all.
Right.
Like going into it, it was a complete shock, and this is what's happening now, and just the way this story is told is man, it is dark. It's not a game that's going to ever make you feel good about anything. It's rough, but I just felt myself pulled into it just to see how it was going to wrap up, and that's honestly why it was my best narrative of the year.
That's great,
because nothing else. There wasn't any other story I played this year where I was thinking about it when I wasn't playing it. There was games I played where the gameplay was making me think about it, but Last of Us made me think about the story when I wasn't involved in it.
Cool.
Did I say too much?
No.
I mean, you just have to prepare. You just have to know what you're getting into. Yeah, it's not going to make you feel good really that often. There are parts that actually do make you feel good.
And it looks like technically the most amazing thing I've certainly ever seen on a PS4. I saw some gif of her winding up a hose, and I was like, how did they make this game? And and some of the parkour-y stuff, and I don't know. I'll get there eventually, but it didn't happen this year.
It's really good. That was one of the few games I finished very quickly this year because I just couldn't put it down.
Right, a lot of late nights. Last was part 2.
I think. Did you finish it first, CB, or did I actually beat you on that? No, you beat it before I did.
So I think Zach got it first, and I was like right behind him.
Oh, was it? Is that how it went?
I don't remember personally, but I'll trust CB.
It was one of the few games that we've ever played where we all three beat it that close together.
It's the only game I remember where we were so neck and neck that we could text about the game and not worry about spoiling things.
Right.
Only
game we've ever done a spoiler cast with just the three of us, I believe.
Probably also true, yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going to have to scroll back my text log and see who got it first.
Oh my goodness, that would be a long time ago. That would have been 6 months ago. All right. It is now time for our 2020 Gaming Outsider personal favorites of the year. We're doing our game of the year similar to how we did it last year, the year before that. We have all given our list to Grant. That's me, CB, Zack, and Spencer, who gave his top 10 list.
Or Grant's games in here too?
And Grant's list is in there as well?
No, I just have I have a top 5 at the end.
Okay.
My own little list, yeah.
He's got his own top 5. So what we did is we gave him our list, and he's going to be revealing the overall Gaming Outsider Game of the Year based on our votes. And we're going to discuss our top 10 list in an interesting way. Instead of going through and saying each of us listing our top 10, we're going to... We've got them basically voted on. So our number 1 picks get 10 points. Our number 2 picks gets 9 points. Our number 3 picks get 7 points, and so on. And we'll wind up with the top 5 Gaming Outsider Games of the Year. And I'm really excited because, like Zach said, it kind of could go a couple different ways here at this point.
Right.
And we're going to go through that. But before we even get to that, Grant has a list of all the games that actually made our lists this year. And he's done them in alphabetical order, so there's not any like randomness or whatever. Grant, what are those games that made it the list this year?
Yes, we are going A to Z. Should I say 1 to Z?
Sure.
There's no one game. There is an A game, though. One that I actually almost listed as my biggest surprise of the year, which was Among Us.
Nice to see a game from 2 years ago on here.
Yeah. I wonder about that because I guess your guys' rules, but yeah, that was a thing that like it might as well have come out this year. But yeah,
but it didn't.
It didn't.
But it didn't. Anyway, I think Scott and I might have different rules than other people.
I have a feeling that was on Spencer's list. I know that wasn't on CB's list.
No.
Well, we got another A game here. We have Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
Also, probably not a surprise.
Nope.
Do you want to just stop me if you want to speak about any of these as I go through?
No. Just go ahead and run through them.
Sounds good. Call of Duty.
Okay.
What's up?
No, I thought last year we did briefly discuss, but
Oh no, that's fine. We can do that. Go
if
ahead.
someone has something they want to speak up about, feel free. But I will continue. Any Valhalla love out there from the back section?
Whoop, whoop.
Here we go. I saw
2 hours I put into it. It has been good. I'm cautiously optimistic of diving back into it just because I know how long it is and I know how little time I have.
I sure did like watching the modern day cutscenes on YouTube.
So you did the whole thing spoiled?
Yeah, that's the only part of this franchise I care about.
He knew the ending before I did.
That's true.
All right.
We got Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
All right.
We've got on the list, someone's list, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, it's on someone's, all right.
Mm-hmm.
The one of us that's played it. I wonder who's...
I have no idea.
We've got Doom Eternal on here. That came out last year.
Oh, man.
So
Also, not on my or Zach's list.
Could have been a contender for most disappointing game, though.
it was
You
actually
shut your mouth.
I played literally 1 hour of that game. I have to go back to it. I think I'm going to go back to it with mods from what I've read, but we'll see.
Amazing soundtrack.
Oh, always good. Fall Guys. On the list. Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Yeah,
No
buddy.
surprise there.
I should probably play that.
It's very good.
A game no one's heard of, Ghost of Tsushima.
Right. It's got no love so far in the episode.
Nope, no way. Hades.
Great.
Gods and Monsters. I mean, Immortals Phoenix Rising. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Phoenix is misspelled on here.
A game I've not heard of. Keen One Girl Army.
Surprisingly fun.
Yes,
Slide
I
Let's
wonder
go.
who put that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Also perfect.
A game that I'm looking
It's just
forward
so
to
good.
downloading this week on PS Plus. Maneater made the list.
Yes.
That almost made my biggest surprises of the year because I never expected to like that game as much as I did.
Can you believe all of us played a shark RPG this year?
Dude, I was going to say, I never expected that game to exist. I didn't play it. If I had, I probably would have stuck it in my biggest surprise because what the heck? Like, who
Dude, it's so great. The humor in that game is hilarious.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's good.
Mortal Shell is on here.
Just on Zach's list.
Yeah, I wonder who put that on here.
Neon Abyss. Wonder who put that on there. We have Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Came out this year.
Yeah.
Great looking game.
I'm intrigued to see where this game might end up.
Out Buddies DX. That doesn't sound like a game title. That looks like a typo, but is that correct? Out Buddies DX.
It is.
That is correct.
That's a video game.
Yeah.
Pixel Rip 1995. That's a VR game I know. I actually looked at that one when it was on sale, and I haven't looked at it, but it looks really intriguing.
Spencer loves that game.
Cool. Yeah.
Obviously.
I heard it's super fun. Resident Evil 3 is on the list.
Apparently on Zach's list, not
Yeah.
CV's.
Guess it was just me. I thought for sure I'm surprised.
So am I.
I enjoyed it. Round Guard's on here. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that.
Grant, shut up.
Yeah. Hey, maybe I just wrote that in. Did I just write that in when I was sleepwalking?
No, that's
it's definitely on my list.
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Star Wars Squadrons made someone's list. Someone played this game.
At least somebody beat it. That's nice.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Pretty awesome to see that on the list. Undermine.
I wonder.
You undermine. And the last game in the list, Watch Dogs Legion's on here. So that's the list. That's the breadth. That's what we're dealing with.
That's quite an eclectic list for 4 guys.
I'm more or less curious who put Watch Dogs Legions.
I guess it was Spencer,
It must have been Spencer.
It wasn't me.
right? I do look forward to playing it.
I'm looking forward to finishing it.
Wait, you didn't finish a game this year?
I've got like an hour left to wrap it up.
Oh my goodness. You could do that in 10 minutes, apparently, at your speed.
Surprised you not have any aneurysm about it.
All right, so Grant, you've compiled all the numbers. You were the only one that has seen all 4 lists at this point.
That's the truth.
What is... we're going to start with number 5. What game fit the number 5 spot between our votes?
I'll tell you, I'm going to give you 2 statistics before I rattle these off.
Oh, okay, sure.
One
I love
is that 3 games made it onto 3 of your lists. Just as a note.
Okay.
And then
I know one of them, two of them. Okay, I know which three that is.
and one game made it on all four. So I'm just gonna put that out there. And then now I will plow my way up this list. Y'all ready?
All right.
I think I know which one made it on all four. So
Yeah, pretty sure.
Crazy Taxi for the Dreamcast.
Yes!
I gotta make that.
If Among Us can be eligible, so can Crazy Taxi.
I have to make that joke every year. So there, that's number 5. No, number 5 is Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh,
way up there. Way up there.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's up there.
It's cool to see. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is number 4.
Wow. That's not on my list at all.
Not on mine either.
Interesting.
I guess Spencer and CB loved it.
Yep.
Number 3. No ties in this list, by the way. Last year, I think we actually had a tie. Number 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
This is an outrage.
Interesting.
An outrage.
All right, we got 2 more left. You guys probably may know what they are. You probably know what they are.
Yeah, I think I do.
Number 2.
I know what they are, but I'm curious in which order.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of these games is on all 4 of your lists. Number 2,
I must be forgetting one.
Second favorite game of the year for Go is Last of Us Part 2.
Okay.
Last of Us in second place, Part 2. And the number 1 game of the year for 2020 is Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
See,
Interesting.
Spencer being in there threw it off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the fact that all 4 of us played that game.
I'm curious on who put Ori and the Will of the Wisps that high, because it wasn't in my top 5.
It was 5 for me. I think it was number 5 for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it doesn't have to do with as much with, placement for one person. It has to do with average placement across everyone. So like everyone kind of had, several people had Ori and the Will of the Wisps kind of in the middle. And it was kind of in the middle enough to make it into the 5th place of all games.
Right.
Okay.
So
that's fun. It's interesting that Ghost of Tsushima's game of the year because it's number 5 on my list.
Yep.
It's funny because Final Fantasy VII is number 5 on my list.
That's also an outrage.
I'm sorry, but I played games that I thought were better.
Do we share our number 1s here, or do we wait until we print a list?
Whatever you want to do, man. That's not going to hurt anything if we share it now.
Because
you're gonna be really pissed when you hear my number 1.
I'm offended that Final Fantasy VII Remake, my game of the year, a remake of a game I don't even care for, was number 3. I take this personally.
I'm gonna guess Scott's.
All right.
I think I know
Undermine.
Scott's. It's Undermine.
Yes, my number 1 was Undermine.
Yep.
I'm not pissed, Scott. I knew that coming into this episode. I knew that coming into this episode.
You knew that coming into that was going to be my number 1?
Yes. I think
because
CB
of
did
the
too.
sheer number of hours I put into that game. I put more hours into that game than any other game this year. And it was my comfort food game. When I was having a crappy day, I could just run through a couple of runs of Undermine. When I felt like really powering through and getting some stuff done, I'd play some Undermine.
What'd you play it on?
Xbox.
Cool.
I loved it.
Cool. What's your number 1 game, CB?
Do you even have to ask?
Kinda.
Valhalla.
It was
Is
Ghost.
Resident Evil.
Oh, Ghost was your number 1?
I would have said Valhalla as well.
Valhalla. Valhalla. I'm actually looking at my list. It was number 3.
I read your review. Yeah, that's not number 1. But I didn't read your review of Ghost of Tsushima, so I kind of forgot how much you loved it.
I absolutely adore that game.
I'm okay with calling Ghost of Tsushima the number 1 game of the year.
Yeah,
overall.
I mean, it's
I think
just
the only one that's mad is Zack.
I'm not mad. I'm just surprised because it was in the middle of my list, So it's interesting that a mid game for me is our game of the year.
It was top 5 for everybody and number 1 for 2 people. Yeah. So
I'm not. Yeah, I didn't think you fudged the numbers, Grant. I'm just.
Well,
it's
what's
just
this
surprising.
Crazy Taxi moving around on the list?
Right? Yeah, can we get Crazy Taxi number 1? That would be perfect. Because like last year, Control was my runner-up game of the year, so when it was our overall game of the year, it made sense.
What was your number 1 last year? Do you remember?
Fallen Order, which I think was number 2.
The only reason Final Fantasy VII didn't go higher on my list is I will not give number 1 to a game that is half finished.
But it is finished. The story wraps up.
That's not fair.
Quite conclusively.
No,
By that logic,
still,
then should we take away all of Mass Effect 2's Game of the Year awards?
well, I had other issues with that game as well. So
Last of Us 2.
That's
Last
fair.
of Us 2 is only half finished, but the first half came out like 6 years ago or whatever.
Look at that. Part 1. Except they didn't say part 1 when they finished that game. That game could have ended at the end of the first game, and it would have been fine.
But you know what? As actually, I didn't really consider this. So Grant just made that joke that more than most sequels, it really does feel like the other half to the story. Like it really does. They need each other.
Mm-hmm.
Those games.
It's amazing they were able to do that.
Yeah, it's actually quite
the feat.
another point in its favor.
And remember how much you went into that game kicking and screaming that you didn't want it?
Yeah. I said, yeah, most unnecessary sequel ever.
Mm-hmm. And you were wrong.
I'll eat crow. I was dead ass wrong, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been more wrong.
Yeah. I mean, anyway.
though I will
So
say,
are we all okay with that then? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
CB is fine with it.
What? I'm not.
I want to say it
numbers,
was number
man.
4 on my list.
It was number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we should change it to Final Fantasy 7 though. Yeah, I think that makes
No.
sense. Scott gave it
I
a
will
10.
I will
God damn
drop
it.
it further down my list.
You know, I see your point. I didn't review Ghost of Tsushima, and I probably would not have given Ghost of Tsushima a 10. But the reason that I would have I put Final Fantasy over Ghost of Tsushima on my list. I think. Grant, can you confirm that?
I can confirm that you put Final Fantasy above Ghost of Tsushima and by one spot.
So that just debunks my whole thought process there. and Last of Us, I've rated higher because it was so memorable in terms of it's a game that sat with me for so long after I played it. I think we genuinely, outside of the spoiler cast for Final Fantasy VII, I think we talked about Last of Us over text more than any other single game we all played this year.
Yeah, I bet that's true. But FF7, for it coming out in March, is still the game I come away from 2020 thinking the most about.
Yeah, you know, and honestly, that's something to consider too, is the time that some of these games come out. Like Will of the Wisps was lower on your list, it sounded like. That came out in February? February?
I think February, yeah.
And, you know, if we had played that recently, I bet you that would be higher.
I don't know. I mean, I also did not like the first game at all.
It's
So
true.
the fact the sequel's on the top 10 is surprising to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, I don't care. Ghost of Tsushima can be Game of the Year. That's fine.
Wait,
All right.
My game,
Zach
my game of the year will never be Game of the Year.
Here's the thing.
That's what I'm learning.
Last of Us Part 2 was number 2 for all of you on the call here, but it wasn't on Spencer's list at all. So
Oh, that's interesting.
that's the reason this can happen. Spencer isn't here to sort of share that part of things, but it only
See, I'd be really curious for you to recrunch the numbers. I'm not
Without
like
Spencer.
throwing out Spencer's thoughts on games at all, but I'd be really curious to see where we would land.
Last of Us 2 would have went to number 1.
Yeah. I think
Last of
that's
Us would have won, probably.
you want to do it?
No, let's not do
All
that. No.
Nope, it's
I
Ghost.
I think we
It's
could safely
Ghost.
assume that it would be number 1.
But Ghost was so good too.
Yeah.
It
As
good.
was Final Fantasy. Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's also great.
See, and
Not
that's
our
when I
top.
feel bad because I didn't finish it.
And it's so
I
short.
mean,
I'm still surprised that there was more people that put Ori on their list.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's on the bottom, near the bottom of my list, but it's down there.
I think it was
It's about-
5 on mine. It was
About
good.
right in the middle of mine.
Yeah.
All right, Grant.
Sure.
Thank you so much for putting that together, and I would like to hear your top 5 games of the year,
Well,
starting with number 5.
I'll share that with you. I didn't play as many of the big games as y'all, but I will share what my top 5 are. Number 5 for me was Paper Mario Origami King.
Okay.
The boss battles got incredibly tedious after a while, and I decided to just start looking up solutions because it was taxing. But I found...
I started doing that way earlier than you did.
Did you? Okay. I made it pretty far before that kicked in, but it was time to be done with that game. But I beat it, and it was great. incredibly creative and colorful, and the music is my soundtrack of the year by far. Had some problems, but I liked it more than the other Paper Marios. Number 4, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Nice. It's just too tight and too good, and too with the fresh coat of paint and the lacquer. It's good stuff. Big fan. Played it a ton this year. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Don't really need to say much. Incredible follow-up. I hope they keep going. I guess it'll be a while, but really loved Ori. Number 2 is a game that hasn't been mentioned at all today. It's a game called Lonely Mountains Downhill. You guys familiar with this game?
No.
It is a downhill BMX game.
I've played that.
Have you?
I didn't know that it came out this. I didn't know that it came out this year.
It came out this year on PC, and it came out on Switch after that, or maybe it was out last year on PC, and then just out on. But I played it on Switch, and I have never felt so chill playing. It was my chill out game. The game has no music; it just has ambience. It's got like binaural audio, and you're basically riding a BMX down a hill towards the screen, doing tricks and stuff, and upgrading your bike. And it was just such a chill experience. And I played a ton of it. So that's number 2 for me. Check it out. And then number 1, Half-Life Alyx, by a long
you did
stretch.
play it.
So if you can, I don't know, CB, like maybe think about picking that cable up. I don't know. It's real good. I'm just telling you, I'm putting it out there.
I desperately want to play it because I'm such a big Half-Life nerd. I still have all 4 of the old games in their big boxes. So, I've been clamoring for something after episode 2 for a long time, and then when they announced that, I'm still kind of kicking myself.
Well, it's there. It's there when you can get to it. I actually tried to, Quest was out of stock for a while during the pandemic, and I figured out how to hook up the PSVR to the computer to play Steam VR games. It works great, but only for sitting experiences. It doesn't have any positional stuff. I downloaded some software to get the Joy-Cons to work as VR controllers. Like, wow. I was in it to play Half-Life Alyx, and it just didn't work. It was just a janky mess. It wasn't going to happen. Computer can run it, but I couldn't get all the weird extra crap I was doing to function. So then when the Quest came out, I picked it up and finally got to play it, and it was absolutely worth it. So.
I've heard that game just gets more and more impressive with each level. Like, it's almost like they introduce new mechanics, new ways to play the game with each level, and it just constantly blows you away all the way through.
It does. It plays like Half-Life, but there are things with puzzles and story and perspective and just all kinds of wild stuff. Even like I just spent forever staring at the alcohol moving around in the bottles. One of their texture artists was given free reign to spend like 2 weeks on working on liquid tech, and if you pick up vodka, you can see it swirling around in the bottles, and it's just like the detail in this game is they had money to put into it. So anyway, I'll stop.
I look forward to
great game
that. I'll never get to play it.
It
sounds great.
It sucks to have a game that is so good that so few people can actually try.
Yeah. You want to talk about it? You want to talk about it with somebody else, and there's nobody to talk to about it.
Exactly.
All right, would you guys like to hear the community's top 5 favorite games of the year?
I bet I know number 1.
You already know what number 1 is?
I have a pretty strong feeling, yes. I think it will align with ours.
Okay. You might be surprised, but we'll have to wait and see.
I'm going to laugh. It's going to be like Fall Guys.
It's Among Us.
So what I did is I put out a Google form on the socials for everybody to go in and vote for their top 5 favorite games of the year. And we did a very similar thing where we just took the highest percentages and went straight from there. So for number 5, we actually had a tie for 4th. The 4 and 5 were the same amount of votes. So number 4 and 5 were Hades and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Oh,
cool.
Both hit the number 4 spot. Number 3 was The Last of Us Part 2. The number 2 game was Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, I stand corrected.
And the number 1 game, as voted by the community, was Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I'm noticing there's no Final Fantasy VII remake on here at all.
Yeah.
So what the hell, guys?
You know, you're really making me feel bad, Zach, because yes, I did give that game a perfect score.
You did.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't rate Last of Us Part 2. I did rate Undermine though, so yeah, I'm that guy.
Well, that's okay.
Huh?
I mean, you can. Your score doesn't have to reflect your later personal feelings.
Yeah.
I remember last year I scored Resident Evil 2 higher than I scored Devil May Cry 5, but on my end of the year list, Devil May Cry 5 was higher because it stuck with me better.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a freaking banger soundtrack.
Come on, you got to say it once.
Pull my devil trigger.
You're
talking about the other quote. That doesn't have to do with the music, though.
I know, but still, it just cracks.
I can't just whip it out all the time. It's one of the best, though.
Last thing we're gonna do before we get out of here: our most anticipated games of 2021. What are you guys most looking forward to in the coming year? CB, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, I've got a very short list.
Do you? Do you really?
Yeah.
I got a long list.
Tunic. I always have to
keep the dream alive.
Evil Dead, of course.
Okay.
Resident Evil Village,
Yes.
and the Callisto Project.
Callisto Project, is that the visceral game?
Yeah.
Well, the quote unquote visceral game.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. Man, that game looks awesome.
I would be surprised if it
excited.
comes out in 2021.
My list is relatively short. Far Cry 6, Horizon Forbidden West,
Yeah.
Chorus.
No, that's
It's
on
a
my list
game.
as well.
I am really stoked about Chorus.
I'm over the moon excited about Chorus.
I'm excited about this one, but I'm nervous about it. Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. I feel like trying to bring back some of these old games always seems like a good idea when I first hear about it. And then the execution is always an utter disappointment.
Feels a little Battletoadsy to me. The Battletoads didn't stick this year, so I don't know. We'll have to see.
But then you have like Mega Man 9.
True.
But those were good.
And those are great.
Yeah. But that was also like they just stuck to the original formula. They didn't mess with it. Battletoads changed up that game in ways that just bothered me. But and then lastly, Rogue Legacy 2. I understand that game is already out on PC, but I need my console port because man, did I love Rogue Legacy, and I want more of it. So, Grant, what's on your most anticipated?
I have 12 minutes down here. Do you guys remember 12 minutes?
Oh, I almost put that on mine.
That's on my list as well.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's been a long time, and now they got some crazy voice acting in here. I don't know. I'm curious. So,
I think it just looks like something
what's that?
Extraordinary. It just looks like a very special game. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll probably be pretty short, but that's completely okay with me. It looks super creative, so I'm
about 12 minutes.
Resident Evil Village. I'm stoked about.
Yeah,
I'm there.
Also
I'm
looks
in.
great.
Give me some werewolves to shoot in the face. Number 3, No More Heroes 3 is out this year. So I'm curious. I really enjoyed the first 2 games. I hated the top-down No More Heroes they put out about a year and a half ago on Switch. It was just awful. It was still funny, but just played terribly. So I'm stoked to see what they do with this one. I always appreciate the humor from that team. So that's what's on my list.
Yeah.
Nice. Is this going to be the year of the werewolf?
What else has a werewolf?
Isn't that werewolf apocalypse game?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
then I bet
werewolf masquerade.
I bet a game on my list, Hogwarts Legacy, will probably have werewolf.
Well, there you go. I'm going to call it right now. This is going to be the year of the we had the year of the bow. We had the year of the zombies. I don't know what other
the year of Luigi.
Years of the zombie.
This is going to be the year of
the werewolf.
What were we just talking about? The werewolf. Yeah. All right, Zach, what else you got besides?
Hogwarts Legacy, the Sands of Time remake I'm really excited about. Also, of course, in terms of remakes, Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139. Looking forward to the console port of Disco Elysium because I've heard nothing but tremendous things. I'm hoping Gotham Knights will be what Avengers wasn't. So fingers crossed.
You know what's funny is I was going to make a prediction earlier in the episode that Zach's game of next year is going to be the Court of Owls game whenever that gets announced officially.
Yeah. Oh, that is Gotham Knights.
Yeah, that's going to be that was going to be your game of the year.
Hey, it's got a fair shot. And then Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I've seen this game. It's going to blow people away. Y'all ain't ready. But the game I'm most excited for next year is actually Kena Bridge of Spirits. There's something.
I don't remember what that one is.
They showed it off at the PlayStation 5 showcase. It's it looks very, very Zelda-ish. except she has a spear. It actually reminds me quite a bit of Star Fox Adventures, which I know is not a game most people want to be reminded of, but I think it looks. But I just think it looks. Like, you look up a trailer, you would remember what it is. But I think this game looks like something truly special, and you know how like games that aren't. I don't know. It looks like an Ocarina of Time game or a GameCube game. It doesn't look like a modern game, which excites me a lot.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Really good.
Very cool.
Disco Elysium, good point. I kind of forgot about that. I've been waiting for it to come out to Switch because I know it won't be bad. It's more hand-drawn style. It should run okay, but I'm ready for that Switch port.
That's... I forgot it was on Switch. That's perfect, actually. Yes.
At some point.
I literally had a buddy of mine texting me about that game today, saying that it does things that he is shocked that it's doing in terms of character development or like character creation. And I believe the word he described was that it's like a stoner trip in terms of the weirdness things that he's doing in the game, but he really likes it a lot. So
yeah, the only hold up with that game is supposed to be like 70 hours long.
All right. Yeah. Well, guys, we did it. That's it. Our 2020 favorite games of the year discussion is officially closed. Let us know, dear listeners, if you agree or disagree with our choices. You can email us at feedback@thegamingoutsiders.com or on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/groups/The Gaming Outsider. Don't forget, we also have a Discord server, which can be found in the show notes for this episode. And Grant, thank you so much for joining us once again, man. I look forward to it every year.
My pleasure. It was great to catch up with you briefly and get on with you boys, and we will cross paths as soon as it's possible. In person.
Absolutely. And where can everybody follow you? I know I mention it every episode, but I'd like them to hear from your mouth.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter at Stemage. StemageMusic.com is my website. And I've been mostly absent from a lot of social media stuff recently. I'm not posting a ton, but when I have new stuff coming out, I'm always putting it on there. So if you want to follow any of that stuff, I won't be noisy, but I'll let you know what's going on. So
awesome. Zack and Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Well, sure. Yeah, I did have one final thing I want to say to the listeners before we go, though.
All right.
I always want to know who's bringing the marshmallows. Because I'm bringing the fire.
My God.
All right, CB. Thanks, as always.
Yeah. It's going to be a good year.
It is going to be good. How did you guys feel overall about 2020? Like, in comparison to other years, was this a good year game-wise?
Game-wise, it was a great year.
Yeah, a phenomenal game year.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every game on my top 10 list was, I feel like a lot of years you're like, oh, what should be like my number 8 or 9? You're kind of scrounging a little bit. Did not happen this year.
I like it. I think
probably wouldn't have happened for me if I'd finished some games for the last quarter of the year, but it's been that kind of year for me this year.
I do like seeing games show up on people's lists that no one else has heard of. Like everyone, that like these little gems sort of pop up, around in the periphery of the big games everyone knows, and if those are making an impact on people, I think that just means that there's a lot going on in gaming that isn't just the big hitters. That's always great to see. So
like Maneater,
yeah,
or Coffee Talk,
or like that BMX game. Y'all go get that.
Yeah, right.
BMX. Right. Why not?
Oh, this is a lot of fun. Well, that's going to do it, everybody, for our 2020 wrap-up episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We look forward to interacting with you all for another 12 months of gaming goodness. You are all an amazing community. We can't wait to see what's in store for us in 2021. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.